Hello, everyone. Welcome to Regina and Friends Crime Chat. Um, I'm the main host, Regina, and today with us we have our esteemed group of colleagues and friends. Um, we have Sammy, All Things Serious, Kel, and Crystal, aka What Is True. How you guys doing today?
Awesome.
I am well, thank you. Nice to see all of you.
It's always so good to see all of you. And Eddie, how you doing?
I'm doing peachy.
Peachy? That's
Peachy.
always good to hear. And how are you, Kills?
Doing good. How about you?
Honor as ever, but you know what? Praise God, I get better every day, just a little bit, a little bit. And let's see who all we got with us in chat so far. We have Midwest. Hey, Midwest, our lovely mod, and we have Low 12, our lovely mod. How you doing, Low 12? It's good to see you. And we got Paige, another one of our lovely mods. So good to see you. And Michelle Johnson. Hello, lovely to see you, Michelle. Um, so we have some things to go over, you guys. I have been pretty dang sick, but I am recovering. It was curable. Thank God for modern medicine. Needed some antibiotics and stuff, and then had allergic reaction, and that was real fun. So it took me just a little while longer to recover, but I'm doing great. If you can't tell, I'm feeling my chippers again. I feel my Wheaties, so to speak.
Well, you worried me
Um,
for a little bit there because for a few days you were like MIA.
Girl, between being sick and sleeping, like, yeah,
Oh,
that's pretty
yeah.
much all I did. um, and we have some real exciting news. Uh, what is true? Had a grandchild. Crystal, you want to tell us all about your little bundle of joy your daughter brought into the world? Are you there? What is true? No.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yep.
now I can.
Okay. He was born on the 12th. He was born at 7:21 p.m. He weighed 7 pounds, 7 ounces, and he is beautiful and perfect. And mom is doing well, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Well,
I'm,
congratulations, Grandma.
Thank you so much.
I'm
Yay.
so happy for you. I know there's been some angst and stuff until the baby got here, but now all of that's relieved, and it's a beautiful blessing. So congratulations. Um, I'm relieved and happy for you. Congratulations on being a new grandma.
Hi,
Um,
Miss Brazzy.
Miss Brazzy. Oh, Miss Brazzy, you guys, that woman is just lovely every which way around. It's so good to see you, Miss Brazzy. I'm so glad you made it. Okay, so we've got a lot to go over today because I've been sick. We haven't been able to catch up on cases. Um, we're gonna be going over Madeline Soto. We're gonna be going over Veronica and Julia, the two poor mothers that have finally been found in the Oklahoma panhandle near Texas. We've got some news on that, and we have just a bunch of different cases to go over. So, with that said, real quick, I want to touch up on the Madeline Soto case because we have had some news about her case, and I just want to share that real quick with everybody. And I have a little news article real quick to pull up on that and just kind of get your guys' opinion. And also, we're going to have call ins here in just a little bit. We're going to go over these a few of these first, though. So the news I have on Madeline Soto is, as you can tell, Madeline Soto team's autopsy report won't be released. Here's why. Florida. The body of 13-year-old Madeline Soto was found in a grassy
Your mic is messing up.
area. It is.
Yes, it is.
Okay, can you hear me now? Is it still doing it?
A little.
A
Do you
little?
have do you
Or
have
just
them on backwards again?
no, no, I've got them on right this time.
Okay.
But
Um,
it was a little
happens
crackly.
to the best of us.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're clear
The
now.
body of
Sorry
13-year-old.
for interrupting.
No, that's good. I needed to know that. I think they're just a little. I have Bluetooth earphone, headset, and I think it was
Hmm.
just a little needing some juice, so I went ahead and plugged it in. Um, the body of 13-year-old Madeline Soto was found in a grassy area in Osceola County, Florida, 5 days after she was reported missing. Officials said her mom's boyfriend, Stephen Stearns, is considered a prime suspect in her disappearance. He has been charged with dozens of charges related to violating Madeline. But the autopsy report for Madeline Soto will not be released, according to the Orange County Medical Examiner's Office. The medical examiner cited a state statute that prohibits the release of an autopsy report of a minor whose death is related to an act of domestic violence. The teen was found dead more than a month ago in rural Osceola County, days after she was reported missing from the city. Since her death, very few details have been released. And then we have this little clip I'm going to play real quick of no, don't do it. Yep.
Some new details this morning on the investigation into the death of 13-year-old Maddie Soto. We now know why. More information is not being released about this case.
The state attorney saying they're limiting public information because they're concerned the trial could be moved if the case is too well known here. Maddie was found dead last month.
Come on.
Just days after she was reported missing. The prime suspect in this case, Stephen Stearns as well. He was the boyfriend of Maddie's mother. So far, he has not been charged with her death, but he does face close to 60 charges for alleged sex crime.
Okay. So we've got that, and I've had a lot of people asking and wondering about the domestic violence law that is preventing the autopsy results to be posted for Madeline Soto. So I went ahead and I looked up the Florida statute because I was hoping that it would give some clarification. Because in most states, domestic violence only pertains to people that are actual family members or people that live at the residence. That's the law here in Arkansas. In order for it to be qualified as domestic violence. And I found the penal code, and I'm going to share that with y'all right now because it makes a little bit of sense and it doesn't make sense at the same time. So 741.28 domestic violence definitions under the 2018 Florida statutes, and this is still the standing law for domestic violence definitions. Section 1, department means the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, of course. 2, domestic violence. It means any assault, aggravated assault, battery, aggravated battery, sexual assault, sexual battery, stalking, aggravated stalking, kidnapping, false imprisonment, or any other criminal offense resulting in physical injury or death of one family or household member by another family or household member. Section 3, family or household member means spouse, former spouses, persons related by blood or marriage, persons who are presently residing together as if a family, or who have resided together in the past as a family, and persons who are parents of a child in common, regardless of whether they have been married, with the exception of persons who have been a child in common The family or household member must be currently residing or have in the past resided together in the same single dwelling unit. And then we all know what law enforcement means, which is Section 4. Law enforcement officer means any person who is elected, appointed, or employed by any municipality or the state or any political subdivision thereof who meets the minimum qualifications established in Penal Code or Law Definition 943.13 and is certified as a law enforcement officer under Penal Code 943.1395. Okay, so I was hoping to get answers. I was hoping to get answers from going over this penal code because of what Arkansas has in relation to penal codes. And I actually found disappointment in it. I was hoping it would clarify some things, but it didn't. Did it clarify anything for y'all?
Kind of in a way for me, but it could just be my brain taking me down a path that isn't what it is, if you know what I mean. Like for me, I think that what was it? Domestic violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So domestic violence, there could be domestic violence between child and parent or child and so I'm gonna go with if it was Jen and Madeline, that's the domestic violence part. So
Well,
Right.
well,
But
it
it
also
also,
says former spouse.
but they were never
So
married.
yeah,
it former household member too. It says
Yep.
former or household member. So he used to live there.
As
Right.
if a family or who have resided together in the past as if a family.
Yes, and they did. He did reside there in the past as family.
that's if we're
Right.
going by the assumption that he's actually guilty of killing Madeline.
Yes, and if he is, that's the reason why the DV is there.
Right.
And that's the reason why they haven't released the autopsy.
Right. Well, also something else in the Madeline Soto case, we just found out Jennifer Soto gave her daughter's ashes to the biological father.
And thank God she did, because you know what? At least she'll have
Actually,
happiness in her resting place because Jen didn't want her in life and she sure as hell doesn't want her in death. So
it's actually
Madeline,
it was actually the lawyer who did it.
well, Madeline deserves to be
Yes,
someplace where she's loved, in my opinion, and I'm glad that she's with her biological father. Even though he wasn't in her life daily, he still loved her and he still talked to her.
yep,
And
And
he was
Jen,
active in her life, what he could be living so far away.
right, and
yep.
Jen lived right there and didn't even know anything about her daughter.
Nope.
So,
I think she knew a lot more than she's letting on about her daughter, but that's my personal opinion.
well, I'm
Um,
talking about directions home, doesn't know if she knows how to get home, all those nonsense responses she had.
mhm. Nonsense
So,
responses. Well, also at this point, I'm just wondering, does law enforcement know who did it? Stephen Stearns or Jennifer Soto? Because if the backpack was being thrown away at what was it, 7:35 a.m. and
yeah.
one didn't have to be at school until 9, what was Stephen Stearns doing at the house at 7:35 throwing the book bag away, allegedly fixing to take her to school so early? It makes me wonder, there's so many lies between Jennifer and Stephen Stearns. I don't know who to believe.
Can
Like,
I ask you guys a question? Regina, what
Yep.
do you think is going to end up being ultimately the cause of death?
blunt force trauma or strangulation.
Cal?
I would go with that as well. Yeah, I would say I was thinking strangulation.
If
Me too.
Stefan did it, it's going to be strangulation. If Jennifer did it, it's going to be blunt force trauma. That's my
All
educated
things
guess.
serious. What do you think?
I agree with everybody so far.
Sammy?
Oh yeah, I see strangulation.
For me, I see blunt force trauma.
It's
I
one
think
or
That's
that's
the
the
other.
cause of death.
well, here's the whole thing. There have been rumors, and you guys, again, this is not fact. I have no proof of this,
Right.
but there have been rumors that Jennifer Soto checked herself into a mental health / recovery facility.
Right.
If that's the case, then my best guess is that there are laws that if you are in a mental health facility under a physician's care, now a warrant can be issued for your arrest, but you can't be arrested while under doctor's supervision in a facility like that. They can only serve you and actually arrest you and throw you in jail after you're released from the doctor's supervision. So, I have a theory that there hasn't been an actual arrest made in connection with Madeline's Madeline becoming deceased. Um, I just lost my complete train of thought.
Well, and that's the thing, Regina. You think that there would have already been those charges filed. So why haven't they? They have him, and they have him on all of these other charges. So that leads me to believe that they know that he didn't do it, in my
Hmm.
opinion. Because I strongly feel like I this woman is not normal. She has no zero maternal instincts. She's too um just obtruse about her behavior. Um and for me, like, I'm sorry. I don't care if the lawyer did it or who did it, but she gave up those ashes, and it just proves everything I've already thought.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But that's the reason I think there hasn't been an arrest because I'm kind of starting to believe that maybe she did check herself into a facility because, and that would also explain, Eddie, can you elaborate a little bit more on the lawyer, being the one to give mother the
It, it
ashes?
was uh, it was the father's lawyer.
Uh huh.
So what I heard on the news, it was news reported that the father's lawyer went and got got Maddie's ashes.
So basically, Jen must have left him there. It's been
Well,
how
Jen wouldn't
long?
be able to claim them
If
if
she's
she's
right.
in a facility.
Right, but wouldn't the grandmother, wouldn't her sister, because I'm pretty sure that they would be able to pick up Madeline, even if she was in a spot.
It
I
would be
just,
the next of kin. So the father would be the next of kin.
I don't know.
Hello, Willow. I just want to give a shout out to Willow. Thank you for joining us. It's good to see you. Good to see you.
I personally have
Um,
a very difficult time with Jen, in my opinion. I just, oh,
I
I
agree,
don't know.
yeah,
Crystal.
I completely agree. It just doesn't feel like, in my opinion, she was there for Madeline. She would have known had she been there, but then again, she's lied about so much already. I think she probably did know and just either didn't care enough or I don't know what. I don't know how to explain it. Um, because I couldn't fathom it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she lacks everything maternal. Everything maternal.
Yes, everything maternal. I agree. I agree with that. What do you think, Sammy and Kel? What are y'all's opinions on it?
Well, yeah, I totally agree. I feel like she was devoid of any emotion as far as where her daughter was concerned, and I fail to see how something could be happening in her house under her roof, and for her not to even notice or see signs. It's just boggling.
Right.
I found it to be really sad that she spent more time consoling him. Even if you had the least bit of suspicion that this man possibly hurt your child or anything happened, I don't see myself personally worrying about consoling him. So I found that pretty disturbing
I do
that
too.
she seemed more concerned in, how he was doing and how he was feeling than about her own child, which
Totally
then
agree.
further led me to believe that she may be the guilty party.
I definitely think I have nothing but disdain for this woman. And
Yeah.
and I can be I can be unbiased in most situations. I can look at both sides and try, I don't automatically convict somebody just because they're a suspect, but she, in my mind, is just one of the cold heart. Oh my God. Like ice runs through her veins. That's what I get. And I feel
Miss,
bad for,
go ahead. Go ahead, Crystal. Can you hear me?
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Oh, okay.
uh, um, it just baffles me. And like I said, Madeline probably still loved her mother. And as she left this world, because that was her mother. But I can't say the same for Jen. There's just nothing, no love, nothing. For her not to ever say,
Crystal? We can't hear you. Okay, we've lost some sound on Crystal. I'm sure she'll be right back and finish her train of thought. I just wanted to give a shout out to Miss Bradley. Miss Bradley, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do and sticking with us. And thank you for being one of my lovely mods. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, Miss Brazzy, and for everything you do. Thank you. And congratulations to the new members. Welcome to the Crime Chatters family. Um, and I appreciate you guys so much. Miss Brazzy, you're amazing.
Thank
I
you, Miss
swear
Frazee.
one of these days I'm gonna get her address because I have to send her. Oh, that's something else. We're gonna be having merch soon, you guys. We're gonna be having t-shirts, coffee mugs, and stickers. We're starting off simple. So, but as a gift, I'm going to be sending all of the crew, my mods, um, uh, t-shirts as soon as they're printed. Everyone's getting a free t-shirt shipped to them. So, and we're not gonna do all this $49 t-shirt stuff like everybody else, you guys. That's ridiculous. Okay. Um, t-shirts be in the pricing between $15 and $20, and see what we can do about hoodies and stuff later on. But we're gonna start off simple. So, but we're fixing to get that underway. Um, Now back to the train of thought we were on. Back to Madeline Soto. Crystal, you accidentally got kicked and you were right in the middle of your train of thought. What were you gonna say?
I don't even know where you guys stopped hearing me. It's just she makes me mad. Jen makes me mad. She's just, I don't know. I find her just horrible. I guess for lack of better words, just horrible. That's all I got.
You know what kills me? She didn't show any emotions. That
Exactly.
really disturbs me. No emotion.
She's cold. She's cold as ice.
My problem with half of them anymore is it just seems so unnatural. Like as a mother, you see these kids and their parents. None of them are pleading for them to come home or that if anybody has any information. It just leads you to believe right away that they know what happened. Long before they're found, or we still have a lot of them that are still missing, but it just doesn't seem natural. You don't feel that warm and fuzzy mom feeling. I don't know.
Mm-mm. Not at all. Not at all. Mm-mm.
And of course, it's like extremely hard to believe that your child is being abused right under your nose for all that time, and you try to have a little bit of sympathy, and maybe you miss some things, but it's people need to pay more attention to their kids and what they're doing and how they're acting, and um I don't know, it's so hard to believe. It just is. I
You know
wish I could
what?
And
believe
If you
being
really get involved with your child and you learn your child and you know your child and you spend time with your child, like good quality time together, these are things you can't help but notice when something isn't right.
you're right.
Right. Exactly.
Well, here's the thing. Most people don't understand that being blessed with parentship is a stewardship that is not to be taken lightly. It's not to be taken seriously. And yes, it's the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child is true. But we as parents trusted with that sacred gift of being a parent, we have to step up to the plate. We have to know where our children are at, what they are doing. We need to know everything about the people that they are around. I mean, I've gone so far as to do background checks on my children's teachers. You know, my son before he graduated, my daughter. I've looked into all of them because I need to be aware of what's going on around my children when I'm not there. And I feel like that as parents, if we're not there for our children, if we're not listening to them and talking to them, and we're shoving a video game console in their face, then we're not teaching our children anything that they need to learn in the real world, and we're not protecting our children because whenever we get too consumed and wrapped up with our everyday lives and start ignoring our children, that means that we're not paying attention to our children, and the people that are raising them is not us anymore because we aren't there in their lives.
And Madeline Soto is a relatively young child. I think as we get older, and I don't want to say that it's unheard of that another parent doesn't know that something like that is going on, but she was a child. Um, there's just so many day to day things that you would notice about your children. You wash their clothes. You notice their behavior. There's so many things day to day that would be really hard to miss over 2 years, 3 years. I mean, this wasn't an isolated incident. It was going on for quite some time. So
Well, look
it's,
at Madeline's photos. I don't know Madeline, but you can see the
I
eyes.
agree.
And
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see that. You don't see that, Jen. She, and this is no fault of Madeline whatsoever, but she had that. She looked like an older than a 13-year-old just by, her face because of the stress she's been under.
And
I can't even.
she didn't as a small child. When you see
Right.
her younger pictures, she looks like a child. But
Mm-hmm.
when you see the birthday
Hmm.
party, she looks, definitely like an older than
She had
13
a
year
she had a broken spirit. Yeah.
old. Right.
I agree. She had a broken spirit, and that's so sad to see. That's so sad to see because we should do better by our children. Our children shouldn't have broken smiles and broken hearts, but for a moment, whenever they, go through a life's lesson. But it seems like there are so many unnecessary and evil things that our children are going through anymore because let's face it, most parents just aren't there for their kids anymore, and it's tragic.
Well, the way I see it is if you don't want your children, don't have them because just don't have children because you having children and abusing them and, doing away with them, it's despicable. Like, just some people shouldn't have children. They shouldn't. I'm going to say it because there's millions of other people that can't have children that want children to love. And
Yep.
that's the discouraging part for me to see these people that would be wonderful parents and not have that opportunity. And you've got this psychopathic mother who's
Hmm.
so self absorbed that she can't even protect or all she didn't protect, she neglected her child. She neglected.
Absolutely.
And it's frustrating. Oh, it
Hmm.
burns my, you know what? This
of
case
course,
does.
of course, these are our honest opinions. It's all allegedly and speculation. So I'll add that in. But it is what we feel in our hearts. We've discussed these things countless times, and we all kind of see a lot of the same things with things that were going on there. So I understand your frustration, Crystal. It's infuriating as parents, that we try so hard and other people just let their kids slip through the cracks and don't even know what's going on. And
Exactly.
unfortunately, the worst scenario has happened here. So
Hello, Linda. It's very good to see you, Miss Robertson. It's good to see you again. I got your email, and whenever you're feeling better and can talk, I would love, or if you could text message me, um, or send me your number to where I can text message you. I would love to talk more about the emails that you sent me. I tried going through my call list to find where you had called in, but I couldn't find the number on my call list. So I couldn't figure out when it was. So if you could get a hold of me again, that would be amazing because I went over those cases that you dropped a line on me. You do? Awesome. Awesome. Yes. If you want to email me, or I can go through my emails and find it again where you emailed me, and we can discuss that. I would love that. And it really is good to see you again. Okay, so any final thoughts, you guys, before we move on
No,
to
I
the
said
next
a lot.
case?
I said a lot. I'm good. I don't know
I'm
about
good. I'm good.
right, I think
Eddie.
you
Okay.
covered it. I think you covered everything.
All right. So we covered the Apple River trial, the Apple River trial with Nicolay Mew. And I have that update right here on the verdict because we never got to do it because I got sick. So we're going to go over that real quick. And it's just kind of short. I'm just going to play the verdict video, and then we're going to go over the differences and the penalties between first degree intentional homicide, which is what he was originally charged with, and the reckless homicide, or the first degree reckless homicide that he ended up being found guilty of. So here is that real quick. And this is just a 3-minute and 48-second video. So
submitted.
Nicolay Mew found guilty of homicide.
The jury finds Nicolay Mew guilty of first-degree reckless homicide as submitted.
Nicolay Mew found guilty of homicide and reckless endangerment today. It was unclear how long the jury would deliberate, days, maybe weeks. Turns out it only took hours to reach that verdict coming down this morning.
Rob Olson was there in the room as the verdict was read, and the reaction also came out. He joins us live outside the courtroom tonight. So, Rob, take us through the moments leading up to reading that decision.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the jury hadn't been out long yesterday afternoon, and just a couple of hours this morning when we got word that something was coming, and everybody gathered outside the courtroom and then in the courtroom for a pretty obviously emotional moment for the family and friends of Isaac Schumann and those others that were stabbed in this. Now, the jury did not rule on the higher charges on first and second degree intentional murder, first and second degree intentional attempted murder. The district attorney explaining that doesn't mean they found him not guilty of those. It just means that they couldn't agree and move down the list to reckless homicide and reckless endangerment.
It's been 21 months. We've been waiting for justice for Isaac Michael Schumann, and we got it today.
Donnie Hernandez voiced the raw emotions for a large group of family and friends of 17-year-old Isaac Schumann, who was fatally stabbed in July of 2022.
So I just want to tell everybody I appreciate all your love and support. And
overwhelmed still by the mix of grief from his loss and the satisfaction of what they had just witnessed in court.
The jury finds Nicolay Mew guilty of first-degree reckless homicide as submitted.
54-year-old Nikolai Miu found guilty of reckless homicide in the Apple River stabbings that killed Schumann, and guilty of recklessly endangering others for the stabbing injuries of 4 more. Guilty of battery as well, meaning the jury believed he did throw the first punch that began the entire physical confrontation.
When we looked at all the it seemed clear to us that he was angry, that he wasn't afraid.
The St. Croix district attorney believes the key evidence is Miu shown lying on body camera about even being involved, lying during the jail interview about having a knife, that if he was truly defending himself from an assault, he wouldn't have tried to hide it.
You know, after he stabbed all these people, he walked away. He ditched his knife, didn't tell his group anything, and then he tried to get away.
The jury did not agree that he intended to kill, which were the higher charges, but they rejected self-defense. Miu's twin brother saying their family had nothing to share at this point.
Not at this time. Not at this time. Thank you, sir.
Surprised, respectfully disappointed.
Miu's defense attorneys believing the self-defense case was solid, saying that Miu is truly sorry.
He continues to feel those feelings. He's sad, obviously disappointed in the result, and contemplating his future life.
Now, the sentencing has yet to be set. There's a pre-sentence investigation that will now begin, so the sentencing would be within the next couple of months. The district attorney says by his math, if you add up all the penalties from all the guilty verdicts here, it's about 97 years in prison. Of course, that's up to the judge's discretion about what he hands down, but again, a significant penalty. Live in Hudson, Rob Olson, Fox 9.
All right, thank you, Rob. For a full
Okay, I would just like to say that my heart, my thoughts, and my prayers go out to Isaac
Schumann.
Schumann. I keep wanting to say Schumer. I don't know why. Isaac Schumann and his family. I can't imagine. I can't imagine what it would be like to lose my child. And I just want you guys to know that our thoughts and our prayers are with you. And we hope that you find some peace and closure in this situation, and that God blesses you richly with peace and understanding. Real quick, I wanted to go over the possible penalties. Now, and I wanted to compare the two because first-degree intentional homicide is a Class A felony in Wisconsin, and it can result in a sentence of life in prison, which a life sentence in Wisconsin is up to 60 years, I do believe, between 25 and 60 years. And a first-degree reckless homicide carries the penalty of up to 60 years in prison. And then the second-degree intentional homicide is a Class B felony in Wisconsin. So regardless of them finding him guilty of reckless homicide, first-degree reckless homicide, instead of first-degree intentional homicide, Nicolay is looking at many, many, many years in prison. Now, while what he did afterwards was horrendous, and I do agree that he deserves to go to prison for what he did, I'm going to say something really unpopular, but I also think that everyone that instigated that fight, everyone who was not assaulted that put their hands on another person first that day, period, end of story, should have also been charged with assault and battery. With disorderly conduct at the very minimum. And I don't think that any justice has been served because there are still a group of teenagers that helped instigate and facilitate Isaac Schumann's death that day. And they're serving no repercussions or penalty to their behavior that helped lead to this just as much as Nicolay's did. And that's my opinion on it. What do you guys think?
Well said. Thank you.
It was really a hard one. I just honestly, I wish there was no knife involved. And I know that the alternative could have been just as horrendous, but that was kind of the hard part for me was had the knife not been involved, how would things have turned out? I don't know. Um, it really was hard though, because I do believe that everybody played a part in what took place that day. I don't think that anybody that was involved didn't contribute to somebody getting hurt and eventually being deceased. So yeah, this one really tugged at your heart because you could see it from both sides. There
Yes.
was a lot that I could see from him. I mean, being the age that I am, I could see where if I was surrounded by younger people and feeling bullied and tormented and whatever. But then I could also see it, from younger people where maybe if they had seen that he had some kind of weapon, they would have dispersed. I don't know. I just think the knife is what played the factor in people being hurt and ultimately being deceased. So, but it was a hard one. So I can agree with
Absolutely.
I can respectfully agree with everybody to some degree.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Kills exactly. Um, what do you think, Eddie? What are you going to weigh in on this one? Did you watch the case any or cover the case any
I
or
watched
anything?
a little bit. I watched a little bit, and I heard that there was drinking involved with these
Mm-hmm.
young kids. Um, so there should have been some repercussions for that. You
Yep, I
know,
agree.
community service or something like that. But you know, kids are going to be kids.
Yeah, that's true. But what do you think about it being the adult father there that was supervising, it was his birthday party and there's pictures of these underaged kids in the photo with what's his last name? Carlton with Quincy what's the last name? I forget. Carlson, is that right?
AJ? Was it
No,
AJ
no,
you're
no,
talking
no.
about?
No, I'm talking about Quincy. I'm talking about the dad
Oh,
whose birthday party it was. Two of his sons, one of them was knifed in the stomach or had two stitches, and the other one had a hernia that needed surgery or something like that. Oh, and I just want to give a shout out to Mind of Monsters. It is so good to see you. Um,
Yes,
I
hi
think
Mind
I've
of
read.
Monsters.
I
She has a
think
great
I'm like,
channel.
yeah. Well, I didn't even know she had a channel. But if anyone has her link, one of my mods, if y'all could post it, that would be amazing. I follow her on Twitter. I think I pretty much see everything she drops. And she's got really good content and she covers stories that are really important, a lot of missing people, stuff like that. So shout out to Mind of Monsters. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. And but let's moving right along because we do have so many cases to update. Was there anything Sammy or Crystal y'all wanted to add to that on the
I
No,
Apple
just
I'm
River?
good.
I just think that the videotape told the story. So,
Right.
I mean, my thing that was the deciding factor after watching it for 15 times was he knew to walk away and he turned around. And for me, that
Yep.
was a sign that he wasn't as scared for his life because he returned. So,
Oh,
Uh-oh.
is it? Uh-oh. Wow.
oh, what?
We couldn't hear you.
I stopped talking.
Oh,
I,
we didn't know you were
Oh,
done.
we
what
didn't know
what
you were done.
what was the last thing you heard me say?
And it sounded like a robot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm good. Somebody else can go.
I just think that everybody needs to take it as a lesson that, that today is not like it used to be. A confrontation can always happen. Somebody can have a weapon. I just think, no matter what they say or yell or whatever, it's just better to walk away because you just,
Me too. Me
yeah.
too. And I agree with Miss Brazzy. Had Nikolai been surrounded in an alley, my decision would have been very different. Yes, Miss Brazzy, I completely agree with that. Um, but also I think that they all had the opportunity to walk away. Like each one of them had the opportunity. And Miss Brazzy also said that my parents let us drink underage, but supervised, and we didn't act like those kids did. Different times for sure. Amen. Um, I remember my sisters and them, having parties or whatever, but before they were underage, and it was kids at the river, having a beer or two, and everybody chilling out, listening to music and having good times. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like it is today. Everyone feels so entitled to having and everyone is entitled to their emotions, but nowadays it seems like everyone is so entitled to those emotions that they have, overpowering anyone else's emotions or rights. We've become so entitled that we are bigger and mean more than anybody else and their opinion. Would y'all agree with that?
Yeah, and we never had to worry
Also,
about somebody having a weapon or drawing it. I mean, I'm not saying if you were in a, bad part of town or something, you didn't have to worry about that. But nowadays, you could be at the mall and somebody can have there's really not that safety factor isn't there anymore. No matter where you are, it can
It's
happen
not.
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I
I
agree.
got to say this, no matter who you are and which side you would have been on or how you might see it, just remember this and start practicing it, even in simple things. Just walk away. Just walk away.
There's
Plus,
always an
I just
opportunity to walk away. Um, you always have the chance to be the bigger person and just walk away. And
and
if someone
to re-
takes, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go
To
ahead. No, go
respond to
ahead.
Miss Brazy talking about with social media, these cameras are so taunting. I think that is such, especially with the younger generations, it's such a big thing now. Everybody wants to record or go viral or whatever. I think that that's like another form of intimidation, which gets people even more worked up because they know that they're going to be humiliated in some kind of way. So again, it's always the ego that's hard. I'm sorry, Regina.
Right. And no, you're absolutely right, Kel. Social media has everyone so amped up to catch something drama driven that everyone wants to instigate something for some little bit of a 3-minute video they can put up on YouTube, or they can put up on TikTok, or they can post to their Facebook, or they can put on Twitter. I mean, everyone wants to get, it's like everyone wants to get attention. And I guess it goes back to the parenting. People aren't teaching their children to get attention in the good ways through academics and, um, being scholars and good behavior and just good citizens in general. We've quit focusing on how to be better people, and we've started focusing on how to be better than other people. Would Does that make sense?
Makes perfect
Oh, yeah.
sense.
And it's a tragedy because then things like this happen. We have children that are dying, that and I'm not victim shaming. I'm not victim shaming. And again, it's, Isaac losing his life, you guys, that is the worst possible outcome to anything, and it's horrible. And the fact that Nicolay left him there to die in that river and then pretended he didn't even know what was going on. The man's a monster and he deserves to be behind bars. But I think that dismissing the actions of the other people involved whenever they did commit criminal offenses that did contribute to this, to Isaac losing his life, I think that they should be held accountable all the same. And if I'm wrong for that, then I'm wrong for that. But I feel like everyone was accountable.
I agree. And I think the lack of ownership during their testimony just further, you know, solidifies that. This could have been a learning experience on both sides.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
Like Crystal
Um,
said from the beginning, it was like a perfect storm. Everything that could go wrong that day went wrong. There were a lot of opportunities on each side that it could have been a completely different ending. And unfortunately, that didn't happen.
yeah, it could have been. It could have been everyone having a good laugh and walking away, and instead it turned into something so ugly. And Eddie, I would like you to elaborate a little bit. We're gonna move on here in just a second, but Eddie, you know about drinking.
Oh yeah,
Um, is it
and you
okay if
always
I
act a
if
fool
I
when you're
talk about it?
drinking.
Right. Is it
You
okay
always
if I
act. Yeah, that's fine.
um will you share your experience on how you know so much about drinking and everything? If you don't feel comfortable with it, please don't. But if you
Crying out
wouldn't mind
loud,
a
I
little
was an
bit.
alcoholic for 15 years. I started
And
drinking at 15.
wow.
Yeah, actually, if you want to get technical, my first beverage was at 7. If you want to get technical, my first alcoholic drink was at 7. And that's when I acquired a taste to it for it. By the time I was 15, I was drinking every weekend. And then by the time I was old enough to drink, I was drinking every day. When, but the thing is with me, my mom couldn't control me. She couldn't, stop me from doing what I wanted to do. So she would have me do it in a confined area where she could keep an eye on me and my friends and make sure nothing bad happened. So
She
because
supervised you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a problem with today's kids. They find people to buy it. They go out and party out in the woods, the lake, and stuff like that, and there's no repercussions.
Yeah. Exactly. You're right. You're
And that
100% right.
and that's a problem with this case. Yeah, the guy shouldn't have pulled out a weapon. Nobody else had a weapon. He should have never pulled out a weapon. He's a grown man. Maybe he would have got his butt whooped. Okay, you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation.
At
You
all.
know, correct. He if he instigated it, that's on him. But he should never have pulled out that weapon. The
I
only
couldn't
time
agree
I'm
more.
pulling out a weapon and using a weapon is if somebody else has one too. That's the only time, self-defense.
I
But
can't say I can't say the only time I would pull out a weapon if I had one was if someone else had a weapon, because I do feel like there's a point whenever you are overwhelmed by multiple people that,
yeah,
and not only that, but whenever you are being assaulted by someone who has lost the ability to control themselves and has gone to the point of physical assault against you, you can never guess their motives or what their intentions are after they pass the level of being able to control themselves. At what point can you decide, okay, this person has lost control only to the point that they're going to physically injure me? Or when do you make the choice of this person has lost control to the point that they are likely to kill me? Can you differentiate that once you have started to become assaulted by someone? Is there a point whenever you go, okay, this person has evidently lost their freaking mind because they are assaulting me? When do you decide, okay, well, they're going to kill me instead? At what point? And if it's multiple people, at what point? Is Are we capable of judging what someone else's intentions are
Well,
whenever they're already evidently beyond the point of, self-control?
well, I think everyone was drinking, correct? So
yep.
everyone was
Yes.
drinking.
Hmm.
He walked away, and it all could have
Hmm.
stopped there. And yeah, they were baiting him. They were being a bunch of punks. But he still turned around and walked back. and that means he wasn't scared. So it's not self-defense. I'm
He,
still stuck on the intent, whether he intended to kill or not. I'm still stuck there. So I can't even.
That's why I think they called it reckless
Yep.
and it
instead of
happened so
intentional.
quick and it was loud and chaotic. Look how many times we had to watch that video. And every time you watched it, you learned something new because it happened fast and it really was quick. It was in water. The sun was shining. Like there were just so many surrounding factors that it's easy to say you would do this or that. But I mean, it all happened in what, less than 5 minutes? I mean,
It was like
3
a
minutes.
minute and
3
huh?
minutes. 3 minutes.
Yeah,
3
but
From
it
the
minutes.
was
beginning
about
of the video and 3 minutes and
34
something.
seconds of
Yep.
the actual kill. Well, what we're talking about thing
He was
happened.
screaming and yelling, and I mean, I don't think anybody had like a clear view of everybody. I know that when Riley was on the stand, she talked about that she really didn't even know what was going on until she was in the scene.
Right.
I think that's kind of what was taking place with a lot of them, but unfortunately, because they were all young, I think they were just all joining forces, like So again, still going back to the perfect storm. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I
I
I
just want to give a
I
shout
would
out to Aussie,
yeah.
Aussie True Crime. Um, what beautiful, beautiful woman. Thank you so much for joining us. It is so good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a little while. Just wanted to give a shout out to her. And Willat, it's good to see you too. Um, ooh, very interesting comment, Willat. Yes. I think our government leaders have modeled this me first sort of behavior that people just step on each other. Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree more. And very, very interesting point to bring up. Um, and Aussie says, hi, beautiful Sammy. Hi, beautiful Miss Brazzy.
Hello,
And
hello.
Willat, I hear you're having some bad weather. I hope you are safe. I hope you are safe. Mind of Monsters said, look at Riley Strain's case. His own fraternity brothers didn't even look for him. It's a sad world. Yes, it is. Aw, Miss Brazzy, thank you so much. You guys, this woman, she's gonna make me start crying over here.
you rock,
So
Miss Brazzy.
yes, she does. Thank you so much. Thank you. All I can say is thank you a million times. If I said it, I couldn't thank you enough. But thank you, Miss Brazzy. And welcome new members and those who were gifted to the Crime Chatters. We appreciate you and we look forward to discussions, having discussions, some crime discussions with you guys. Thank you very much. Welcome to the team, Mind of Monsters. Welcome, Aussie True Crime. And I can't see all the rest of them. Destiny, Sweet and Sleuthy, and Tam. Welcome, welcome, you guys. Yeah, well, if you're having 80-mile-per-hour winds and are under a tornado warning, strap a helmet, a bicycling helmet on, or any kind of helmet you can strap to your head or tape a pillow to your head.
Put some knee
Because,
pads on a lot.
yep,
Some knee
and
pads on.
sturdy shoes. Because the number one way to be unalive during a tornado is head injury. Actually, if you look it up, your head injury. So all right, we got a little off topic here.
Okay, so we're ready to
Go
move
ahead
on for
and
next.
yeah, we're ready to move on.
Okay.
And I think what we're going to start with is this right here because it's time we get to this case. We haven't covered it yet, except for sharing the information about Veronica and Julian being missing. It says God's misfits connected to bloody disappearance of Veronica Butler, Julian Kelly. Look at these faces. Now, let me tell you something very interesting. Every one of these people is like in their, what is it, 30s and 40s?
Yeah, the dude with the gray
They're in
beard,
their
he's
40s,
43.
40s and 50s.
43. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
he's
He looks like he's
43.
70. He looks like he's 60, 65, 70.
I'm
They
Okay,
all look like
43.
they're old.
he's
That
43.
is crazy.
I'm
Right.
Crazy.
43.
I am so way older than him, and no.
You are. Happy belated birthday, Eddie.
I'm
Yes,
43 and I
happy
don't look like
belated
that.
birthday. Right? Oh,
You look like
I'm
his son, Eddie.
Hell no.
No, not really, but I'm saying age-wise.
so we have the article here. Oh, someone else popped in. Who do we have? Oh, no, it's just me. Okay. Um, Here we have the article. And as y'all know, these were the two, Julian and Veronica, were the missing mothers from the Oklahoma Panhandle, that disappeared, going to, I believe, pick up their children or to get their children after custodial battle or during a custodial battle that was going on. Details from the probable cause affidavit against the four suspects charged with first-degree murder in the disappearance of Veronica Butler and a pastor's wife, Julian Kelly, suggest that the two women might have suffered a violent death as investigators work to identify, but they have identified them. This article is old. Investigators who found evidence suggested foul play in the women's disappearance, and it was announced on Saturday that they had been arrested, um, including the four people in connection with the disappearance. Now we know it to be a homicide. Include the paternal grandmother of Butler's children, Tiffany Michael Adams. Others arrested are Tadbert Cullum, Cole Earl Twombly, and 50-year-old Cora Twombly, 44. All the individuals arrested in Texas and Cameron counties and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree. While the deaths of Kelly and Butler, no, it's been confirmed. This is old news. So that's all I'm going to read of that one, and I'm just going to go ahead and go straight to this, because I think it's more better updated info. So as you can see, I have the OSBI's statement, and it says 4 arrested in connection to Texas County, which is Texas County, Oklahoma, disappearance case for immediate release, April 13th, 2024. Texas County, Oklahoma, on March 30th, 2024, the Texas County Sheriff's Office requested the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation to investigate the suspicious disappearance of 27-year-old Veronica Butler and 34-year-old Julian Kelly. The vehicle was found abandoned near Highway 95 and Road L south of Elkhart, Kansas, in rural Texas County. OSBI special agents immediately began investigating the vehicle and determined there was evidence to indicate foul play. On April 13th, 43-year-old Tad Burt Cullum, 54-year-old Tiffany Michael Adams, 50-year-old Cole Earl Twombly, and 44-year-old Cora Twombly were arrested in Texas and Cameron counties. All 4 individuals were booked into the Texas County Jail on 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree. But they have actually located the women. And I have another article real quick I would like to share with you guys. But here's, again, the mugshots. They just, I don't know. They look like mean people to me that have had a really rough. What's this? Is this dude smiling?
Especially when you see the age comparison to younger pictures of them. Definitely they've had some hard years compared to
Right.
previous years.
It looks like The grandmother's half smiling, and the dude with the handlebar mustache is smiling, in my opinion. Yeah, I
And
don't
weren't
know.
these people well respected in the community?
Yes, absolutely. Which is what leads me. I'm glad you brought that up. Which is what
Yeah.
leads me to this. Okay, because now we got this going on in the case. A judge has actually been forced to resign over speaking on this case. So let's go over that real quick.
And our News Nation national correspondent Brian Enton drove out there today, did a lot of looking about and asking questions, and he's live with me now. So, Brian, take me to that property. Tell me everything you know about the land, the landowner, and what you were able to see.
Yeah, first of all, actually, bear with me with the weather because it's been crazy here on the Oklahoma-Kansas line. We had a wind advisory today. There was a tornado last night, and now there's another big storm moving in. So it's going to get a little wet, but I want to get to all of our points. Yes, I went to the house and the area where the bodies were discovered. It's about 8.5 miles or so from where the mom's car was left in a very rural area. It is a piece of land that Tad was renting, was leasing out from an owner there. And there was a barn there. The bodies were discovered near a dam. There was some digging, and that's when they found them. The owner I met with, he was crying when he was telling me the story. Totally shocked by all of this. Can't believe it. Can't believe this happened on his land. Was shocked when the police showed up and started digging. But that is where those women were found, Ashley.
Okay, so now tell me, there's so much I want you to unload here, but you also got an interview today with Tad Cullum's business partner, who happens to be a municipal judge, who was coincidentally there at Tad's house while Tad's house was being raided. And then there's been a big twist tonight. Tell me everything that's happened.
There is, and I'm going to get to the twist in a second because this is really crazy and goes back to the point that people here are very scared to talk. But yes, we talked to the municipal judge here, happened to be walking by, got in the car with me and chatted. He is a good friend of Tad. He is a business associate. They were working together. He was at Tad's house when the SWAT team showed up. You remember Nancy Lou had that crazy video. The SWAT team showed up and he was there. He had a gun pointed at his face, he says. And he also knows a little bit about this group, the God's Misfits, the religious cult group. I asked the judge about it. Listen to what he told me, Ashley.
When's the last time you saw Tad?
I was there when they raided it.
You were there.
Tad and I have been working together the last month in a business, and I was down there when it was raided.
What was that like?
Being with a military past in Vietnam, it brought back some really bad memories. Looking down the barrel of those rifles, it was very hard for me. It brought back a lot of memories, a lot of bad things.
Did you ever get a bad vibe from Tad?
No. Tad was one of the nicest, funniest. I seen him almost on a daily basis this last month. We were working together. I couldn't even believe he was involved in it.
What about Tiffany?
I didn't see her a lot. I've known her for years. Always thought she was just a little bit out in left field. But again, just never believed that they would do this kind of thing.
According to the affidavit, they were involved in this group, God's Misfits.
Yes.
What do you know about that?
Never even heard of it until this come up. Knew zero, nothing about it.
And what have you learned?
To me, and what I've heard, and I can't say this for fact, what I've heard, it's kind of like a cult. A lot of cults use God as their background to justify what they're doing. To me, that's what it sounds like.
Are they anti-government?
Very, very anti-government.
Okay, so in a very strange twist, Ashley, I just was notified that judge was forced to resign after doing that interview with me this afternoon. The mayor, he was appointed by the mayor, and the mayor basically said, I'm not happy you did the interview and talked about any of this, and said, you know, we want your resignation. And he had to submit a letter of resignation. Keep in mind, he didn't talk at all about, you know, anything in a professional sense. He's just a municipal judge. He has nothing to do with the case at all. Just goes back to like why people are not wanting to talk around here, how powerful these suspects are. And now this judge is out of a job just for telling us that story this afternoon.
And again, that story has absolutely nothing to do with the murder or the evidence or anything, just the experience of what the arrest was. It's astounding. And I'm sorry, Brian, you're getting pelted with rain. I can't let you go, though. Did this judge know anything about Paul Grice, that fifth man that we are mystified about? Does he know him? Does he know why he wasn't arrested? Any info?
No, he knew absolutely nothing about him, which is interesting because he knows pretty much everybody in town. Everybody we've asked for the most part doesn't know much about him. I mean, you touched on it earlier, though. He was also, according to authorities, part of God's Misfits, the group. He was apparently involved in this plot to kill Veronica back earlier this year. So we know that from the affidavit, but we're not really having an easy time getting other information on him and why he wasn't arrested. You know, is he perhaps now cooperating with the investigation? We haven't been able to nail that down at this point.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation.
Okay, so there we have it, you guys. These women were found buried in the side of a dirt dam on basically the edge of a farmer's property. That's where they were found, buried.
Can I make a comment about what we just watched?
Yes.
So one of the things I caught with the judge in his interview was he said, "Oh, I can't believe it. Yeah, what I know about God's what is it called again?
Misfits.
God's Misfits. God's Misfits. It's based on religion, right?" He says that. And then he says, and then Brian goes, "Well, were they extremists?"
Well, they weren't just religious. They weren't like, okay.
I think it was more anti-government.
Yeah, it was anti-government based religion, or religion based around the anti-government, more than it was religion, if that makes sense. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but a sovereign citizen, they claim to be sovereign citizens.
Yeah, that's the term that's been thrown around. This one's a lot to unload. I read through the affidavits, and it's a lot.
I think when he called them a cult,
yeah,
I think when the
definitely.
judge called them a cult, that's when he
Yeah.
had to resign, because he called them a cult. I bet you that mayor is part of God's Misfits.
Well, I read somewhere that they said that a judge is not supposed to, you know, speak on any case, active or
They're not.
Oh,
Can you guys
okay.
hear
They're
me?
not. He
Yeah.
violated. He violated the.
It's probably
he
like their
violated
decorum
the
or
code
whatever
of
whatever
conduct.
the word would be. Yeah,
Violated
whatever.
the code of conduct for
That's like a
attorneys.
code of conduct. Yeah.
What I'm
Okay.
saying though is,
He
what
violated
if
the bar code of conduct. That's what it is. Sorry, I had a brain poop.
what
Go
I'm
ahead,
saying
Crystal.
what I'm saying is if he had been friends with Tad for years, right? He's hung out with them the last month. He said it himself. And they're supposed to be sovereign citizens, and he's a judge. Don't you think that there's going to be a little bit of investigation into that friendship, or let me ask you this: do you think that there should be an investigation into the friendship of?
I think there should be an investigation into the whole organization of God's Misfits.
Thing
Just
is,
like there
it
should
was
be
said that they
a
were,
full investigation into the Church of Wells in Texas.
and it said they were meeting weekly. So this wasn't something that was just once in a while. I mean, this was something. It was an organized group. They weren't they were definitely very active from what the
Well, let me
affidavit
explain
says.
this to you. Let me explain this to you about people being killers and people not knowing that people are killers. Okay. For those of you who don't know, I had a very, very eye-opening experience with the serial killer, Robert Eugene Brashers, when I was 14 years old. Okay. The man looked me dead in the eye and told me that he wanted to shut my pretty little mouth up for good. And I was babysitting his daughter and the twins whenever this happened. And I was so scared out of my wits that I called my biological parents, not my biological parents, but my adopted parents, and had them to come pick me up. Well, my biological father knew Robert Eugene Brashers. They were friends. My father met Robert Eugene Brashers. My biological father met Robert Eugene Brashers in prison. My dad was a career criminal for a long time. My biological father was. And he's changed his life and turned it around. But he had his reasons, and they were valid reasons of, I mean, his life went down the tubes. But that's for another show. We're actually going to cover it with my dad. He's actually going to come in and talk about his relationship with Robert Brashers and how he helped him in prison and stuff like that. And my biological father told me, well, I knew that Robert Brashers was a career criminal. I knew that he committed armed robberies, and I knew that he had committed violent offenses. He said, but I never would have guessed that he was, in fact, a serial killer. And I believed my father when he told me that. Um, you can know someone is a criminal, and you can be a criminal, or you can be engaged in activities with those people and think everything is just fine, but then come to find out there's more than just one criminal factor at play, if that makes sense.
I'm
Does
just
that make
saying
sense to
that
y'all?
if I was a member of that town, then I would assume that the judge was in their pocket. And maybe this is why um, he had to resign.
Well, I think there's
Just,
other evidence of that too, just in different things that happened with this custody battle. This custody battle had been going on since, what, 2019?
yeah.
So it had been going on for a while. Thanks for sharing that, Regina. I know that's hard. We can't wait to learn more about it because a lot of us didn't even know that situation. So we look forward to hearing from your dad and it. The daughter's coming too. Is that another one that you said you were going to interview?
Hopefully, we're trying to get a hold of her. Me
Okay.
and my dad are trying to get a hold of Deborah, and we're trying to get a hold of April, um, the stepdaughter, to come do the show with me on Robert Brashers. Um, if you'll look online, for those of you who've never heard of the case, if you'll look up Robert Eugene Brashers, um, he killed the Scherer girls, the mother and the 12-year-old daughter, and he also killed Jenny Zutricki. And there's a lot more. Like, we're going to go into really into detail about it whenever we do it. And I'm thinking about, if I can get a hold of them and get them on here, I'm thinking about covering it this weekend. Maybe do a special on it. But if you'll look online, there's a picture of Robert Brashers, his wife Rose, um, Rose's sister Cindy, and his stepdaughters, the twins, and Deborah. And I took that photo. Um, it was either the day before or the day after he committed the homicides in Missouri, and that's the
Wait,
day that he. No, it was the day before. It was the day before he committed the murders, and then the day after he committed the murders was the day he looked at me. I was sitting on the bottom bunk of a bed on. I think it was Lake Street and Court Street meet, or it could have been Rector Road and Lake Street in Paragould, Arkansas. I'm gonna go. That's gonna be part of the special covering it. But I was sitting on a bottom bunk babysitting his daughters, and he came in the room and he leaned up against the window and he was peeking outside the Venetian blinds in the room. and he was mad at us, and he was watching the news, and he was acting all paranoid. And I was just waiting for Rose to get back because they went grocery shopping. And that man looked me dead in my eye and said, was getting on to us about being loud. And I said, we'll try to, we're trying to be really quiet, Um, and he looked dead at me and said, I'd like to shut that pretty little mouth of yours up for good. And it was like lightning, fear, and knowing all hit me all at one time. And I knew he meant it when he said it, and I stood straight up off the bottom bunk, and I walked into the living room, and I called my parents that adopted me, Herschel and Shirley, and told them, come pick me up right now. Come pick me up right now. And that was the day that he attacked April and drug her down the hall by her pinky. And I had to fight with him to get her out of his grasp, and it broke her pinky. And yeah, but there's more to the story, and we'll talk about that later and get into that case a little bit more because I know a lot of people are interested in hearing about it. But yeah, I took the picture of a serial killer when I was 14, and I know in my heart, if I hadn't called my parents that day, that I just know it in my soul that I would not be alive right now.
Well, thank God you
So
called your parents
scary.
and they picked up, because you are a wonderful contribution to society, Miss Regina.
But again,
Oh,
quoting Miss Brazy, um, she, you never know what goes on behind closed doors. And, the violent criminals, yeah, you think that they're not capable of murder, but you hear so many times how these things escalate and they get,
hmm
it's like a drug for them. They just need to do more and more and more. And the more they get away with, unfortunately
It's
leads
like
them to, yeah,
a
crazier things.
psychosis
Right.
almost.
Right.
Yep.
Like
yes.
yeah. I think it's almost like a thirst for them. It's
hmm
it's it's sick and twisted. It's hard for us to understand, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is that's kind of like I was saying a while ago. You never know what someone else's intentions are after they lose control enough to hurt you in any mannerism or put their hands on you in a violent fashion. You can't judge whether or not they're going to take your life in that instance. Like, and it's a scary thought, but it's true.
Especially nowadays, people are just more violent. Back then, that's why I'm sure, got away with it for the time that he did. People didn't have the exposure that we have now. It's a great thing. But nowadays, again, going back to all these cases, you just never know what people are capable of.
You really don't. And that's the reason we have to be on guard at all times and have our head on a swivel to protect ourselves and the people that we love.
Right.
And even then, it's impossible.
Yeah, you can do
But
everything right and still things can, go bad.
Yeah.
at the same time, you guys, I have to agree with Miss Brazzy on this. Small town, corrupt law, methinks.
Um,
Oh, I agree, Miss
how many
Brazzy. That's what
how
I'm
many times
saying.
how
Like
many
all
times
of
do we see this?
all of those cases that he oversaw involving any of those people, any of them, those need to be investigated, in my opinion, because they pretty much have the judge in their pocket. So,
And
and
with
that's
Veronica,
what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. With Veronica and Jillian, I mean, as you get deeper into it, you realize that there was a lot of that going on there.
Like,
They were making a lot of decisions for everyone.
like, how many people does it take to kill two women, realistically? I mean, these monsters, and that's what I consider them, monsters. They took these lives of these mothers, but they took the future of their children, because now these children won't have their moms on their graduation day, their wedding days, the day they give birth, because somebody decided that they needed to die. So,
Well, you don't want to get too far into this, but there was testimony or provided in the affidavit that there was a great possibility that Veronica was going to get unsupervised visitation. So I think that was like the turning point. We've heard that they planned on doing this previously, so we know that it was something that they planned anyways. Um, I even read too that they denied the father, access to the children before too. So, I don't know all the dynamics from way back when with them, but um, maybe they help to raise these kids, and sometimes the kids are possessions, and they use them as weapons against each other, and being that, like everybody's saying, they had a lot of pull in this town and they were making decisions. That's probably why this custody battle was going on for as long as it was.
But you think that somebody with some common sense, some humanity would have said, no, we can't do this. You've all lost your damn mind.
Well, they're young too. You
Forward
figure if
a
she's
15-year-old.
27, if she's
No, I'm
27, I mean, they were young. So when they had these kids, they were young. And oftentimes, when you have young parents, the grandparents play a part in it, and for good and bad. And
no,
I
I'm
think
talking
that
about like the people that committed this crime. Like nobody told them you are a bunch of fools. Like
right,
stop. It was a 15-year-old that came forward and said this was what was going on. That
The Twombly's own daughter come forward.
right.
I mean,
And she knew details. It wasn't like she was just guessing. She knew
yeah.
exactly how it happened.
And you guys, I would just like to send out once again, and this is so sad because we have to do this so often, and it's a God forgive my language, but it's a damn shame and it's a pity that the world has come to this. But I would like to offer my deepest condolences to Veronica and Julian's family. Um, it is absolutely awful what you're going through. And just know that my thoughts, my heart, and my prayers are with you. And if there's anything that we can do um, here at Regina and Friends Crime Chat, please let us know what we can do to help. And we would love to help in any way that we can, even though I know that right now, there's really nothing that can help in dealing with the loss of someone that you love. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss. And it should have never happened, you guys. It should have never happened.
no.
You almost
Um,
have to acknowledge the law enforcement too, because they really did get all the information together. It sounds like a really thorough investigation as far as knowing how it all happened and the outcome, finding the ladies. We see so many times where look how many people we're looking for that still haven't been found. So you got to acknowledge the law enforcement too in this case, and
Oh,
absolutely.
all the
absolutely.
departments involved. Yeah, I was pretty impressed to read the information that they had as much as they did. I assumed it was a confession, but then when you read the affidavit, you realize
And
that
you
they
know
put
what?
all the information together.
Also, though, bravo to was she 15 or 16-year-old daughter that came
16.
15.
forward?
Twomley daughter,
15.
yeah,
16. That's
16.
right, 16.
16.
Yeah, yeah, she was 16. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure, 100%. But that's what I thought I'd read. Bravo to her for coming
Exactly.
forward and doing the
Right.
right thing whenever apparently every adult around her wasn't doing the right thing.
Can you imagine
Bravo
the
to her.
fear? Can you imagine the fear that girl must have thought? Like, if they're going to do this to them, what are they going to do to us?
Oh,
Yeah. And it's
You
a whole
know?
cult. God
absolutely.
knows who else is involved. And I mean, even the fear for her now, even with them in jail, you kind
Right.
of worry about the other people. I'd be afraid.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I hope that, and I'm proud of her. Bravo.
I
I
am
mean,
too. I
she's
am
the
too. It
only
took a
one.
lot of courage.
It
Yeah.
did.
Only one that has any
A
common
lot.
sense.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, out of all of them. And see, that's the whole thing back to the corruption in the town. Let me explain something to you about how my father knew Robert Brashers. He went to prison with them. Why? Because they had committed crimes. So the judge in this situation, I'm not saying always guilt by association, But with everything going on, I mean, he was there whenever the place was being raided.
Right.
Well, if he is too closely involved with these people, he would be forced to have to recuse himself in any way.
Well, he
But
wouldn't
not
have even been.
resign.
Well, he wouldn't
He,
have even been on this case because he's a different type of judge.
Right.
Okay.
Like he would have had no involvement with this case. But like to
They
speak about this case being a judge and to speak
right.
about the people whenever they've just been arrested, that's a big no.
Now,
Big
was he
no.
like we have different judges out here too. We have a man that oversees the county as far as our needs as citizens, right? And they call him a judge, but he's not technically a judge in a court of law. So do we know, is this
yeah,
judge, is
he
I
that
was.
what's
can't
the deal?
They
I
said he's
can't
a
remember.
municipal judge.
He was elected
Okay.
by the mayor. So,
Okay.
I do think though that now I wonder this hypothetically. This is just my thought process. Do you think that he spoke on it at all? And the only reason he did so was because he was there when it got raided. Do you think he would have come forward saying that he knew them and he was friends with them if he hadn't been there when it was raided?
That's a really good point. It's a really good point.
You know what?
I feel bad
Yeah,
for Brian. I feel bad
good
for Brian
point.
Enton that he had to be the one to interview him because I really feel like he's a straight shooter. So you feel bad that this all took place with his interview, but I guess it did. I would say a lawyer can't even speak about cases, let alone a judge. So even the fact that he said she was often left field, was a little personal, probably for somebody to speak about somebody else in his position.
Right on. Yeah.
This whole
Um,
bond hearing that happened today was the fact that the Crombleys, is that their, or what's their last, not Crumbly?
Twombly.
Twombly.
Wombly.
Yeah,
Twombly.
Wombly.
Twombly.
Okay, the Twombly couple, he has the money to afford a lawyer, but she is getting a public defender. Out of all of them, she's the only one that has a public defender. And they're a married couple, and he's going to pay for his own lawyer. What do you guys think about that?
Well,
It's
wait a
interesting.
minute. I got a question. I have a
Makes
question.
makes me
If you're a
wonder.
sovereign citizen, are you entitled to that?
Right.
Excuse me.
Did you hear about the grandmother invoking all of her constitutional rights?
Well, yeah,
No.
she's got every right to too, but
Right.
at the
But she
same
did.
time, I
She
mean,
did.
Isn't she the one that's in protective custody? Which one is? It's one of the women that's in
Yeah.
protective
Yeah. Because
custody.
she had a bulletproof vest on when she was coming into the courtroom. Also,
I
I
think it was
oh
the
my
grandma.
goodness, you guys,
yeah,
is she
it
in
was the
protective
grandma.
custody? Is she in protective custody even though she's refusing to speak on the homicides, or and maybe she's willing to speak on the organization, God's Misfits, or the conspiracy to commit these murders?
May,
Well,
are
if
there
you
other
listen
crimes?
to
Are there other crimes? We don't know. I
if you
mean,
listen
it's
to
an organized group.
if you listen to mainstream media, they say that she is the leader. And I don't
Right.
know the truth of that. I mean, but that's the fear. Everybody fears grandma, not grandma fears everyone else. So
Right. A
Big
lot
old
of the
can of
affidavit,
worms.
a lot of it addresses her specifically. Most of the things that are said about the custody battle or the father being denied the access to the kids, they always mention Adams. Like that name just keeps coming up. So,
I mean,
um,
didn't she threaten her own son with physical harm or
From
the
what I
other?
understand, I've
Speaking of
heard.
which, the
Yeah.
biological father is in rehab,
Right.
court ordered rehab.
court ordered rehab. Yep,
Yeah.
standing
So
from a
will it
case
come out?
previous to this.
So will it come out that he knew that this was going to happen because they'd been talking about doing it for a while, or was he completely oblivious to it because where his own mother threatened his well-being? What do you guys think?
I think that I don't know what to think yet. That's what I think on that
I
because
see big old can of worms being opened.
Okay, you know what the affidavit said, right?
Yeah.
As far as
Oops, you're breaking up. I can't hear you. Hello?
hello.
Talking about the affidavit until she comes back.
Can
Kel.
you hear me?
Yes, now we
Yes,
can.
now we can.
Okay, gosh, what were we even gonna say? Now
The
that
affidavit.
We were
that
talking
kind of
about the
stunted
affidavit.
me here. But what did you say before that, Crystal?
Oh,
Oh, you said
about her being the her threatening her own son. I asked you guys.
And her son being in rehab,
Yeah, and if he
court-ordered
was
rehab for
involved
previously.
prior, if he could have been involved prior, and because
okay.
again,
The one thing that I
go ahead.
read, the one thing that I read was when he was denied access to his kids. Okay, the grandmother was basically telling him, the father, that he couldn't have the kids. They
Right.
actually got police involved, and an officer responded and actually told the father that he felt the kids were better off with the grandparents. This is how manipulated the situation was. That the police officer, and I have no idea what issues the parents had, if there were, of course there's allegations of drug use or whatever, but the police officer actually told him that he felt the kids were better off, which if you're
Wow.
biological, it's not up to him to decide, I mean, if it's a court order, but still, obviously he was supposed to get the kids that night and that did not take place.
So
So
that would lead me to
again,
believe,
yeah, they had the police in their pocket.
right, and the fact that she wanted complete control over these children, even with
Right.
her own son. I mean, that's kind of like I don't. There should be something called. I don't know what it is, the term for it, but when y a mother takes away her grandchildren, not because they're not in a good home, just because she feels like they're her possessions, and then they go off the rails and do things like they did. There's got to be a term for that. I just don't know what it is.
Right.
Insanity.
Well, yeah, I
Oh,
know that. No, that's not even insane. Like,
Well,
this
they're
woman is
endangering
pure
children. They're
evil.
endangering a child
monsters.
when the child's under their care and they're treating them like a possession, like you
Right.
said.
They're
Right.
Yeah. And the
manipulating.
child has no choice. They're endangering a child when they're ending up with all these drugs and going to jail and whatnot. Yeah.
And
And
Absolutely.
again, they were young when they had them. I just wonder if that was always their dynamic,
mhm.
maybe it was financial, who knows, when you have kids when you're young, it's difficult. So maybe the grandparents were helping and,
Well,
obviously they were living a criminal lifestyle. So the kids ended
Okay.
up being pawns.
Um, back on topic. Or changing the topic. You guys, I hate to move on. Let's get final thoughts on this one, and then we're gonna move on to the Sebastian Rogers case because I know everybody's kind of like wanting to know what's going on with that too.
Okay.
Um, so any final thoughts on it, Sammy, before we
Can
move
of
on?
worms. I
Can
see
of
a big
worms.
giant can of worms.
Me too. Eddie, what do you think?
Well, I think there's more arrests going to be made. I think that there's probably more bodies out there that are going to be found.
agreed.
Yes,
I think it wasn't just a cult, it was a criminal organization.
Yep.
absolutely. I
Because
think
how can you sit there and say that if they take these kids away from me, bodies are going to drop? She said that in a courtroom. How did she
and
get not arrested for threatening people?
uh-huh, and
Right.
they followed through with it's the worst part.
Bodies dropped.
It was
This
not a
particular
hollow
group,
threat.
this particular group would be considered domestic tease. I
Yep.
don't want to say the word.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And this was a very organized group. I would recommend to everybody to go and read the affidavits. See, there were stun guns and burner phones, and I mean, they were the burner phones are ultimately how they found them. Based on the information that they got from those phones, and they were only active during these crimes. So, yeah, I would recommend everybody read the affidavits, and
Well, I
it's
think
eye opening.
I would.
something else that's going to play into this wholeheartedly is the fact that, I mean, looking at their mugshots, looking at the probable cause affidavit, I'm really thinking that this is less of a cult organization and more of a criminal
Bigger
organization.
criminal enterprise, yes.
As
Yep.
so far as to be, they were cooking certain illicit substances on the property, and we're going back and forth likely from Mexico to import ingredients for those certain illicit substances. Y'all know
Because
which one I'm talking about.
let's face it. I mean, in order to buy off, the government, whichever parts of it, you need money, and the only way that you have money, that kind of money, is probably to be in a bigger organization than the average. So there was definitely something much bigger going on, in my opinion.
Well, I think I'm just going to say it up front because that's who I am. I think that pertaining to this case, all those involved, I don't care if it was the manipulated one and she had all of her little pawns do her dirty work, whatever, but they all deserve the highest form of justice that is allowed in this case, because those children, once again, they
You cut out.
Crystal,
Oops.
you said those children, oh, she's muted.
Oops.
Unless her microphone cut out.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can now.
We can hear you.
I
Your
think my
last
internet is doing like the wonky donkey thing tonight. I don't know, but
Same. I have thunderstorms here, so if same for me.
I just think that the children, all of them involved, including theirs, are the ones that are going to pay the price for the rest of their lives. They lost their innocence. They lost trust. They, I, they destroyed so many lives, and I just think that they deserve everything that I hope comes to them. And I'm just going to say that. Whew, I am wound for sound. I think, like I said, I got the wonky donkey over here, and I'm just frustrated with these cases. It's just so frustrating,
It is.
Eat some
Speaking of
cheese, you'll be
which,
good.
speaking of which, now that we've got that all in, you guys, it's time to move on because we still have a couple more cases to cover for today.
Yeah, and we got phone calls too.
Yep, and we're gonna do some phone calls, which the line's open now.
Perfect.
If anyone wants to call in and has an opinion on any of these cases, we'd love to hear from you.
Can you put the banner up, or do you have the banner
I'm
up?
fixing to right now.
Oh, sorry.
The phone number is 870-266-6949. And if you call in, I will switch it over on the present screen and we will take your calls. But with that being said, you guys, it's time to move over to a case that is very important to me. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the Sebastian Rogers case. He's been missing for over 50 days out of Tennessee. And we have the latest updates on that involving his dad, Seth. And I'm just going to play, it's just a really short video. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and play this. And then we're going to share the petition
tonight in the months-long search for missing 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers.
The Sumner County teen was last seen at his Hendersonville home at the end of February. He's been missing ever since. News 2's Mai Owens is at the WKRN.com alert desk with these new details. Mai.
Well, Bob Haley, we have confirmed Sebastian Rogers' biological father has now hired 2 private investigators to look into his son's disappearance. Now, that's according to the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. The sheriff told us he briefly met with the investigators this afternoon. They've reportedly interested in researching some of the areas around Sebastian's home. In the days immediately after Sebastian went missing, search crews covered miles and miles of land, but repeated searches didn't turn up any new leads. The search took investigators as far as a landfill in southern Kentucky, where the trash in Sebastian's neighborhood reportedly goes after it's picked up. That search also turned up nothing. Now, Sebastian's father, Seth, has launched searches himself, going as far as West Tennessee. He told us today he's doing everything he can to find his son. Haley.
Okay. Now that's not the first private investigator either that Seth has hired. And I know a lot of people might not agree with this, or at least some people wouldn't agree with this. But to me, I think that Seth Rogers is a man on a mission to find his missing son. I applaud his efforts to find his son. And I'm still going with Seth is completely innocent and just looking for his son. And speaking of which, really quick, guys, I would like to share this with you too before we go into discussion on the case. For everyone who is willing to, please go to change.org. Here's the link. I will post it myself really quick for everyone. Go to this link and please sign this petition. It is Seth Rogers himself started this petition, and why this petition matters, started by Seth Rogers. We want the FBI to take over the investigation of the case of missing Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers from Sumner County Sheriff Office. It has been 50 days since Sebastian has gone missing. No scent trail from dogs, no video footage of Sebastian leaving his mother's house, yet no criminal investigation at all by TBI or Sumner County Sheriff's Office. You guys, what's going on here? In today's age, are we really to be expected to believe that a person can disappear without a trace? What are your guys' opinions on this?
People don't just disappear.
No, people make people disappear.
Right.
I agree with that. People make people disappear. People don't disappear. People make people disappear. Or accidents make people disappear. Or people make people disappear. Like, I know it's a very rare instance whenever someone vanishes and isn't heard from or seen again for years and years. It's not usually a good reason why they vanish to begin with. Like, in this case, I can't. I know I want to hold out for hope that Sebastian's alive and he's out there. But after all of the lies that the Proudfoots have told that they've been caught in, such as Chris Proudfoot took a lie detector test and he passed on Facebook, then all of a sudden on Nancy Grace he didn't. The mom's statements that were completely out of place. When I went and woke him up, he wasn't there. I went and woke him up, or however she said it. Like, the fact that they aren't looking for Sebastian, it's not only alarming, but it's red flags. What do you guys think?
I think that I do believe, that there's always a possibility of a teenage kid running away, you know, um, and whatever. But there would be something leading up to that. In this situation, I don't believe anything led up to it. I don't believe that day that he left on his own. I The lies, actually, the lies are the only things that has been consistent. The stories have not matched up, not once. We add things, we take things away. I just think you'd be as honest and transparent as possible if your child was missing. In addition to the fact that he's a vulnerable person, nobody has seen. There has been no sightings of him, in my opinion. I don't believe that anybody. I think that people call in and maybe they're mistaken and think they did, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I have always thought that Seth was transparent. I felt like he was really trying to organize something to look for him and find him. Like you said, this isn't the first private investigator. I think we're on 3 and 4 now because the other
Yeah.
2 weren't bringing any results. So he
Have
is a
you
man on a
heard?
mission.
Have you heard now? CP, Mr. Proudfoot, there is threatening to prosecute people for coming anywhere near his house.
It's so dangerous. It makes me nervous. It
Well,
really does.
he's had a lot of good luck with that because anyone standing on public access property or a sidewalk or the street for that matter near their home is not violating any any penal codes. So good luck with that.
Better
See,
watch it.
I feel like though, um, in the case of any of these situations, I think the harassment that does happen to them can distract away from the what we all want. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's harmful if people are sitting outside their camper and just berating them. I don't want them to snap and hurt anybody. I don't want anybody else to snap and hurt anybody else. Like,
Right. I
I just think
agree.
that's a lot
It's
of wasted energy for the hecklers. I mean,
yeah. Whenever they could be actually focusing their energy on looking for Sebastian to try and
Right.
ease
right, putting
Seth's mind. Now, I would like to put this out there though, real quick, if it's okay. If Seth Rogers has any idea of what happened to his son, he is doing a darn good job of trying to get himself caught up and busted, trying to get the FBI involved, trying to get everybody involved searching for him, and trying to
right.
hire. Look, this man is on a mission to find his son. He
I
really
agree.
is. He's
I
on
agree.
a mission to find Sebastian.
I just
I
think it just
honestly believe that. Go ahead.
I just think that we all like I mean, we all have our opinions and everything and that's cool, but I'm afraid that if somebody could get hurt, like Seth for even. Like you don't know the boundaries he's could be pushed to. I mean, he's obviously has a broken heart, so I don't want him to feel destroyed and by public opinion, because he's tired or whatever people are attacking him for, and then hurt himself, because he's given up on hope. I don't want that. You know what I mean? I want justice for Sebastian. I want Sebastian found. But, and I think that the Proudfoots have the answers to the questions that we all have, in my opinion. I do
I
agree that,
agree. They know either what the circumstances were. I agree, in my opinion. Now, this is just my opinion, but I agree that they know something. And I believe that TBI knows something too. And I don't believe people in law enforcement in that area are doing what they should do to help bring Sebastian home to his father, no matter what the circumstances are of him coming home. Seth deserves to know where his son is.
100%.
So
I
that's
mean,
the question. Is the FBI involved or are they getting involved? Everybody keeps talking about that, but what is the truth?
That's a very good question. I have this to show you. This
Okay.
is what I have to be able to provide whether or not the FBI is involved. This is the FBI of Knoxville's Twitter page. And it says, so I'm hoping and praying that they have actually picked it up, but there hasn't been any confirmation of whether or not they have. But they did post this to their Twitter account. FBI Knoxville did. Please help us find Sebastian Rogers, 15. This hashtag missing Monday, who was last seen February 26, 2024 in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Please call Sumner County Emergency Communication Center at 615 451 3838 or at capital NCMEC at 1-800 The Lost if you have any information. And it has missing child, help bring me home. Amber Alert number 31317, Sebastian Rogers. And it has missing since February 26th. Oh my goodness, since February 26th. Sorry, for those of you who don't know, I have a son with autism. It's one of his symptoms from having mosaic angel man syndrome, which is a chromosomal not depletion, but it's the chromosome is like it's inactive. And I can't help but think like it really kills me. I'm sorry, just give me a second, you guys. Missing from Hendersonville, Tennessee, age now 15 years old, male. An Amber Alert has been issued on behalf of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office for Sebastian Dwayne Drake Rogers. Sebastian was last seen wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and glasses. He has a medical condition that may impair his ability to return safely without assistance. How can you help? Scan, view, or share this QR code. And here's the QR code, you guys. You can pause the video here and scan it. Report sightings, call 911 or 1-800 The Lost. Sumner County Emergency Communications Center, 615-451-3838. So hopefully, and I'm praying that the FBI does get involved. In my opinion, Sebastian is an endangered child. So I think that they should get involved, and I'm praying that they do. Because more than anything, what I want is Seth to have some peace and to know where his son is. That, to me, is the most important thing in this case with Sebastian is Seth finding out where Sebastian is. What are your guys'
Well,
opinions?
I think the world needs to know where Sebastian is at this point. I think Sebastian has a piece of everyone's heart. I mean, and all these kids do. It's an epidemic. This is becoming an epidemic. I think Miss Brazzi said it best: a war on children.
Agree.
And it's so sad, so sad. This
And
beautiful boy needs to come home.
and just like Low 12 said, you don't want this case to go cold. I just remember with Gabby Petito, her parents, they just wanted her face in the news every day. They wanted people thinking about her, looking for her. And I think that's exactly what Seth's trying to do too. Because you are so afraid that tomorrow another case comes in and then it gets bigger. And, this is like a revolving door. It's a never ending thing. Every day
Never
there's
ending.
something new. Yeah.
And there's no peace. There's no peace for a parent that actually loves their child when they're missing. There's no
Right.
peace.
It's debilitating. I can't
Yes.
imagine.
Paralyzing.
Right.
It's that sense of loss and confusion. I can't even begin to think of it.
But at the same time, if you think about it, I mean, miles and miles have been searched. People have gone out on their own. The volunteers, the search groups that Seth has put together, is amazing. You think about in your own life, would you have that? So I think that it's it's overwhelming. It's like bittersweet. It's overwhelming to think how many people have gone to help and have tried to find him. So you just hope for good results. I mean,
which
you
is
hope
why
if
I'm
nothing else
hoping.
they can find him.
I'm hoping and praying that the FBI gets involved because they will be able to pull footage, cameras. They will be able to pull cell phone data and things that I don't think TBI. And Seth has actually ridiculed TBI at this point for their shoddy job in trying to help find Sebastian.
Right.
Like,
They haven't even determined like a crime scene. We haven't even seen anything be searched, like the home, or I don't know if the cars have been. I don't really know the information that detailed. But they haven't even really determined that there was a crime. I don't know how all of us can think there was and they can still think that maybe this isn't foul play. I just
right.
I'm
And you
hoping it's
guys
not foul
normally,
play. I'm hoping he's
normally,
like
me too.
locked up,
100%.
eating popcorn, eating pizza, having the time of his life wherever
Right.
he's at. That would be perfect. If he's
normally, I would not support a GoFundMe or anything like that, but I am fully supportive of Seth Rogers um finding Sebastian. If you guys could go donate, or you don't have to, nobody has to do anything. But if you would like to donate to Seth helping find Sebastian, please go to Cash App, and it's uh $TMB Fleming, Fleming, and that is Seth's friend that is managing finances in the efforts to look for Sebastian, helping to deal with that. That is his Cash App. Seth himself said that. And Seth is not working right now, you guys. His sole purpose is to find his son, and he is spending every resource and all of his time in trying to find his son. So if anyone has the extra money or can help donate to finding Sebastian, it would be greatly, greatly appreciated.
And whether we like him, going on all these different channels and whatever, he's very transparent. You know what he's
Yep.
doing. There's nothing
Yep.
hidden. There was a really good question from Midwest too, asking if they've searched the campgrounds. You don't hear about any of these things being done. The vehicles. I mean, again, what's been searched? I don't know.
Well, here's an interesting one for you. Did you guys know that Katie Proudfoot was gone from her home for 3 hours after she reported Sebastian missing, supposedly looking for him in her car for 3 hours?
Yeah, that was said on the tapes of that day. The officer says that mom is out
Uh-huh.
driving around.
Yep, that was in the dispatch calls.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't figure the word out. Sorry.
I just have a
And
hard time.
here,
Once you lie, it's hard for me to believe anything.
Oh,
Once your
absolutely.
stories are inconsistent, it's just so hard to know where did the lies begin, where did they end, are they still going on? It's just it gets overwhelming. You don't know what to believe.
it's absolutely overwhelming. Absolutely. And did y'all have any final thoughts on that before we moved on? Because y'all know it's gonna make me start crying again. Like, it just,
No,
the
prayers
Sebastian
for
Rogers case.
Sebastian. Let him come home. That's what we all want. I hope there's nothing
Absolutely.
criminal. I hope there's minimal criminal involvement. I hope that this is like a custody thing, or you hope for the best that he's just alive.
Yep. Praying, praying. I'm holding on to hope, and I'm holding on to faith that he's alive. Um, and I'm praying to God. I'm praying to God that he comes home alive and well. And Seth, my thoughts, my heart, and my prayers are with you. Um, Anything that we can do to help you any further, and anything to help find Sebastian, let us know. We're here for you, and we'll do whatever we can to help.
Well,
Absolutely.
well, Regina, I think continuing to show his picture on all of our lives is just, that helps keeping his picture out, keeping his poster out. So I think,
Also, I'm glad you brought that up, Crystal. The flyer, you can click on this link our lovely Modlo 12 has been so kind to post. You can actually go to this site right here and print out your own flyers. If you don't have a printer and you would like to send flyers, email me. Regina_is_queen, all lowercase, at yahoo.com. So Regina, all lowercase, Regina_is_queen at yahoo.com. If you will email me and tell me that you would like to put flyers up for Sebastian, just send me a P.O. box or an address to ship the flyers to. I have a printer. I'll print them out myself and send them to you to put up to help look for Sebastian. So anything I can do, anything more I can do to help. Another thing, what are the Proudfoots doing? It's like they're on the never-ending camping trip while Sebastian is missing. I mean, less than a month after Sebastian went missing, they're up and lolly-doddling off.
Yeah, that's
There's
hard.
no
That's hard.
logic. We can't figure it out. We don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
It
mean,
see
makes
myself.
absolutely no sense.
I cannot see myself leaving my house if my
Me
child is
either.
missing and I truly know nothing about what happened.
You'd be waiting for them to come home. That's what you
Exactly.
do.
Yep.
You'd have somebody posted up in that house to make sure if this kid comes back that there's somebody there waiting for him. Even if you were out searching the streets, you would have
Well,
somebody
if
in
I
that house.
wasn't
It
home,
makes no
I'd be
sense.
out searching. That's right.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely out searching for him. I mean, you guys, I'd be like Seth. I wouldn't stop except for where I feel was where I would sleep. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Until my kid was
right.
found. Like, and if you'll look, this is the thing that gets me the most. Okay, we've talked about Jennifer Soto case today, but if you compare Jennifer Soto's interviews and everything with the Madeline Soto case to the Proudfoots, the comparisons are just, I mean, oh my goodness, it's alarming. All my red flags go up. All my red flags go up. And the more they talk, the worse they look.
Again,
The more
in my
flags.
opinion, you have that unnatural feeling, like it's not a mother pleading for their child to come home, or it's it's very comparable. I agree.
Yep. Thank you, Low 12, for posting that again. You guys, missing on February the 26th, 2024, Sebastian Rogers, 15-year-old white autistic boy, brown hair, brown eyes, 5'5", 120 pounds. Any information, please call 1-615-451-3838 TBI. Thank you, Lolo. And again, here's my email address if you want to pass out flyers or put up flyers to help in the search for Sebastian, but you don't have a printer or a way to get flyers. If you will email me, here's my email right on the screen, all lowercase letters, Regina_is_queen at yahoo.com. I will be more than happy. Just send me an address to ship them to, and I will ship you flyers to help in the search for Sebastian. The Journey to Justice, it is so good to see you, lovely. The Journey to Justice wrote, they don't feel safe, but they are at campgrounds full of strangers and they go out and eat in public, not passing out one flyer, so it seems. Yeah, that's sus. That's sus. I don't feel safe, but I'm putting myself in all of these public situations where I don't feel safe consistently, even though my child is missing. I'm going to go out and have all these fun dinners and go camping and do this, that, or the other. It just makes no sense to me. Why Seth Rogers is the only person still fighting to find Sebastian and the Proudfoots are not. I'm sorry, but they're just not. They seem more wrapped up in defending themselves than finding Sebastian. Would y'all agree with that, or am I way off in left field here?
no, I agree. I agree.
Agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously our opinions, we can't say for fact that anybody is guilty because we don't have evidence of it. But
Right.
from their reactions and the way they're continuing, I mean, how many days are we? 50?
No,
And you're
more than that. I
still,
think it's
and they,
51,
52.
y'all 52. Yeah, 52.
right, and you haven't passed out one flyer, not hung one thing, not searched anywhere. I don't know.
I think she lacks. I think she's one of those people that probably never really. She just seems so emotionless, and I don't think like she's capable of loving a child the way that they should be loved. I just don't think maybe she was one. She was probably one of those people that didn't want to have kids, and she did, and because there's a lot of women out there that have kids, and then they're like, "Why did I do this?" And it goes back to some people shouldn't have children, and I see a lack of maternal instinct, motherly love. She's just dry, and she could be
And we
like that with everybody, but I don't
and
know.
we know she was deployed at different points. It sounds like he was cared for by other people, so that could be part of the detachment, where it's not like warm and fuzzy.
Right.
I try not to judge her because we don't know what it would be like, but all we can really judge is the reactions, their actual actions, what they're doing,
Or
and it's
lack
like,
of.
yeah, and that's what gets me. It's like you are doing nothing. The only reason you would do nothing is if you know there's nothing to do.
Or
You
you
don't
just
look
don't
for
care.
something you know where is.
Or you
Exactly.
or you just
You're
don't
doing
care.
nothing because you know there really is nothing to do. In my opinion, I believe they know where he is. I don't.
That's my opinion too. Just so that
I'm
y'all know.
hoping to God he's alive, but I really feel that they know where he is. There's no sense of panic with them. No, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be crazy. Like, I'd be the worst
Losing my
person to deal
mind,
with. Oh, yeah.
right?
I can't even
Right?
imagine. It would be,
And
yeah,
and be all over everyone until my kid was found. I would be begging, screaming, pleading, everything I could with anybody and everybody until my child was found. I
right.
mean,
I mean, even going
that's
back to Soto, I would not be like, if I even thought anybody hurt my child, like, there would be nobody I would spare. Like, I would be suspicious of everybody until I found my child.
look,
So
I'm just saying if anyone ever hurt one of my kids, I'm not they don't I'm not there's not going to be a need for a judge, jury, or an executioner because I will play the role of all three when it comes to my children
you know
without a
what?
shadow of a doubt.
I also want to point out, Lot Harris just made a comment about fathers too. I think, we get caught up because we're women and we talk about the mothers and our mother instinct and whatever. But the same goes for the fathers. There are so many fathers that are just as committed and devoted. And I don't want to,
Oh,
shortchange them, but
Totally agree.
absolutely.
good parents
There
in
Yep.
general.
I
Yep.
know more fathers that do a better job than mothers.
Oh, right.
Mhm.
You know
Yes.
what I mean? And they do,
I know some
it,
great ones.
they have more of the maternal instinct than some of these mothers do.
Right.
It's disheartening. That's why I say and I think that's society pushing people. Oh, well, you got to have a baby, you got to have this white picket fence, you got to have a dog, you got to have all these things. And some people don't want that dream. And then, she has a baby and, he's got issues as he gets older, and she was just attached because I don't think she ever wanted a child. I just
Yeah.
don't think she's capable of having that maternal. She's just lacking it for me. I'm not saying she did anything to them, and if they're getting accused of doing something harmful to him, as far as like ending, um, then I would apologize for some of the things I've said to them. But I will not apologize for the fact that he lived in a home loveless. It's almost a loveless home. There was obviously forms of abuse on different spectrums there. We can't forget about those things. So, yeah, they may not have been involved in his disappearance, but they're still guilty of lacking the ability to be good parents.
That's very good points,
Yeah.
Crystal.
Very good. I just want to give a shout out to Blondie. Blondie is a friend of mine. She is a moderator for Evan Freiberger. If you guys haven't subscribed to Evan Freiberger, by the way, he is the best weather guy out there. He covers he covers more severe weather, especially when it comes to tornadoes and weather warnings and stuff like that, than anyone else out there. He's live when everyone else goes home, if that, so to speak. And Blondie is an amazing moderator, and I support Blondie. I love Evan Freiberger. He is my weather guy, and Blondie, I love her too because she is just amazing.
Hi, Blondie. Yeah, we love you in chat. You're such good energy.
Absolutely, always, always.
We appreciate
I
you.
I would steal her from Evan, but I don't want to
Mm.
start a war with Evan. So
Hey,
I like Evan.
she makes her way over here, so we appreciate her.
Evan keeps me safe when naders, come my way. So let's not anger him.
Right, right.
I'm
Especially
teasing. He's a
lately,
really good guy.
he's busy every day. He's on literally every day with somewhere or something going on.
Absolutely. Did you
Okay,
guys
are
have
we
any?
ready? Are
Sammy,
we
did you
ready
have
to?
any final thoughts on the Sebastian Rogers case before we moved on?
I just hope and pray that Seth gets his boy back soon.
Yep, me too. Um, I feel so bad for him looking constantly for his son with no answers. And I'm praying to God that FBI gets involved and that they take over the case and Sebastian is brought home and answers are given. The Journey to Justice says Sebastian is doing same work as others his age, but on a slower pace, right? But Seth said he is like a 10-year-old, not a 15-year-old. What do you think about that? The Journey to Justice, I have an autistic son. Um, he suffers from mosaic angel man syndrome, which actually I wouldn't call it suffering because my son is unique and blessed. But
He is
my
the
son,
sweetest boy, too.
He's so lively and fun.
He
oh
really
yeah,
is.
yes,
And you've done a wonderful job because he is so happy and full of love. And you should give yourself a pat on the back and
Yes,
give him a big hug.
it's very apparent what a good mom you are, Regina. Your
oh,
Yep, he's
interactions
a
with him
sweetie.
are so natural.
Yep.
he's my baby. I mean, I learn something new from my children every day, especially my son. Um, I'm not gonna lie, there have been times where I have tried to the point whenever he was little, um, because he had echolale and trouble learning to speak and stuff regularly. There were times when I would get so frustrated, I would leave the room and cry. Was all I could do was just walk away and cry and pray. But God brought him around, and the whole thing is people can say that, oh, they're operating on the frequency of a 10-year-old or they're operating at this level or that level. But what they don't understand is children with autistic conditions know a lot more than we give them credit for. They are not. They're not. They're not. While they might be behind on the learning curve, they tend to be very empathetic people and overwhelmed because of the empathy.
I think a good thing to
And
say is they're not broken. I think that people want to
we're the
label
problem,
everything and
not
want
them.
to, yeah, they are not broken. They're brilliant. They are,
They really
yeah,
are.
yeah.
They are.
Everybody is
That's,
special and unique.
you said that beautifully. That was beautiful, Calco. I
Yes.
couldn't have said it better.
I just
I
think we live in
agree.
such a society of all these labels. Everybody has to, it's like we're all special and unique. You can look at our own children. Not one of them are the same. I remember when I first had my older son, I thought, oh, I'm going to mold this perfect little person. And you have so little to do with the person they become. Yes, you guide them, you teach them, right from wrong and whatever. But everybody has their own personality, from the
Hmm.
time that we're young. And yeah, I hate the labels. It makes me crazy.
I
Like
agree.
there were certain things that my son was behind in development learning, but I never gave up on him, and I always found a way to get through to him. And it didn't take embarrassing him. It didn't take any kind of violence for my son. The only thing it required was thinking outside the box. Whenever it comes to having children like this, thinking outside of the box is the best way to get through to them and to be able to communicate with them, because that's where the true barrier lies, is with communication with children with autism. That is the main barrier, is communication with others. And just
And
because
you
we
allow
can't understand their feelings because they don't know how to express those feelings or thoughts, doesn't mean that they're not having those feelings and thoughts. It just means that they're unable to communicate with us how they're feeling and what they're thinking.
and you really allow him to express himself. I think that is so important. Um, even if it doesn't pertain to what you're doing or what you're talking about, or, again, people have to have these, perfect situations and detailed, like you allow him to, I, I, I love his energy. I think it's so good. Just from my personal experience with him, it's very apparent that you allow him to be himself. So kudos to you.
Absolutely.
I give kudos to my son more than anything, because with the whole world telling him that he's never going to be able to do this, he's never going to be able to do that, my son has come so far, and it took just as much will and determination from him to be able
All
to
it
get there
takes,
than
all
it
it
did me.
takes is one person to believe in you, and that from that point you can believe in yourself. So
Right.
y- y- don't underestimate what you've done, because I, for one, think you are a beautiful human being, and you're a great mother. A great mother.
Oh, I really appreciate that, but I can't take all the credit because, as y'all know, I'm not a hypocrite, but I'm a Christian. I mess up every day. I have to beg God's forgiveness constantly because I'm flawed and I'm human. But the number one thing that I raised my children with was love. And love only comes from God. Real love only comes from God. And you only realize real love, I believe, after you become a parent. Um,
You need to learn how to take a
on that
compliment.
level.
Right.
Oh,
Yes. Just say thank you.
You
thank
need
you.
to just say, yeah,
He's
take a compliment.
absolutely adorable. And I loved your eclipse with him
Oh, me
being in
too.
there. I loved it.
Such good energy. His
Yeah.
reactions were priceless.
I
Violet
couldn't
too.
live without
Let's
him.
not forget about her, but
Yeah.
Violet too. Shout out to you, Violet, and your elephants and zoos and whatever. Like, yeah, you have great kids. You're
Oh,
like Crystal said, just take the compliment. You are a very good mom. We
Yeah.
well,
appreciate.
thank you. Well, thank you.
There's a
Um,
lot of us in here that are really good moms. I don't want to cut anybody short. We have a
No.
great group and dads. I don't want to cut anybody out, but yeah, we have a lot of good people that care about their kids and their family.
Blondie, me either. I don't want to live in a world with Squidwards either. I do
Right.
not. I do not. Absolutely no. Um, Speaking of Squidward, that's a topic for another day. But my son was a total SpongeBob SquarePants junkie. I
Oh,
couldn't turn off. I couldn't turn off the uh, DVR without him freaking out when he was little, and it took forever to get him calmed down off of SpongeBob. But boy, he was obsessed with SpongeBob SquarePants.
Right.
Um. So yes, our hopes, our thoughts, and our prayers go out to Seth. And if anyone can help in any way, um, the links are in chat to help donate to Seth. And if y'all need flyers, like I said, shoot me an email. I've got you covered. I will ship them to you. If you can print them, if you can't get a hold of them, I will print them for you and ship them. Anything I can do to help bring Sebastian home to Seth. Sign the petition for the FBI to get involved, because I do think that's what it's going to take to bring Sebastian home. Um, and I think that's the most important thing. The journey to justice said All we have is hope. Let's make a hope chain. Oh,
I love
yes,
that.
absolutely.
We
Absolutely love
agree.
that too. That's
Can I
beautiful.
make one comment real quick, Regina? Okay, Lo,
Absolutely.
I love you. You know that. Willot Harris, you are one of the best dog fathers and cat fathers ever. If I come back in this life as an animal, I'm coming back as one of yours. I just wanted to say that. We
Aw.
appreciate you. In Midwest, I mean, this is such a great group of people. Everybody here is on the same page. We all have the same passion. We're all different, but I appreciate every single person that's here. It is a fantastic group.
Well,
I feel
thank
the
you.
same way. Thank you.
I also do. Also do.
Yes.
Gosh, I can't even talk anymore.
Great
I
people
love
here.
us.
Okay, so we're ready to move on because we could do this
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, I could talk about Sebastian all day and his
Us
beautiful
too.
smile and how adorable he looks in his little black glasses. And my
I,
son has glasses just like that.
I would
And
like to hear the
oh
phone
my
rings.
goodness.
Yes, Willot Harris, call in.
Yeah, we need a phone call. Come on, call in. We want to hear what you guys think.
Yeah. We're reading chat, so the chat's great too.
Well, I can't read chat, so I don't know what's going on.
I'm reading it on my TV.
Shh, everybody say something nice about Crystal in the chat, but don't tell her. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Oh, we love you, Blondie.
We do love you, Blondie.
You're so sweet.
I'm so thankful for everyone that I'm surrounded with, and that I'm blessed to know you guys. I really am. So Paige, today, wanted to go over this, and I think that this is important, you guys. We're gonna move on now, into a case that I know all of us are familiar with. We're gonna move on to some Idaho for Brian Kohberger.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, I know. I
That
tell
one
you
makes my
what.
blood boil.
Well, I
So
have.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna respond to Calco, but you're good. Go on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead and respond to Kel real quick because I can get on with this afterwards because it's playing a commercial anyways. And we know.
Yeah, I think this case is just bizarre. I have my own theories, which are also bizarre, but I think that I have, I just don't understand. I just don't understand the things that are happening, both with his appearance to the courtroom delays to the secrecy, and it's just too much. It's this
It's a lot.
case from this is I think like an OJ case. Regardless of whatever way the scales tip, it's always going to be that case that is talked about and nobody believes that the truth actually came out.
Oh, yeah.
If
Law books are going to be written based on this case. I mean, this is like the first of so many different things. I'm not kidding. I can't even believe the things that they get away with this. I mean, OJ, for example, that's the one that you're using. He went to trial, in 11 months? We're now
Yeah.
at 1 month with Brian Kohberger, and we don't even have an alibi or change of venue or even an idea of court date or trial date yet. So this
It's
Right.
one
almost a
is
year and a half.
crazy.
We're coming up on a
Right.
year and a half. Next month will
And
be a year and a half.
I feel bad for the families.
Oh, God
You
bless
know,
their families.
I mean, how
Absolutely.
they're paralyzed. They can't move forward. They're just stuck in neutral, waiting
Right.
on other people for and their distractions are just it's oblivious. This case is just it frustrates me for the families. I'm just so frustrated because of the families. I feel like he has so many rights. Not that he's not entitled to his rights, but like this extensions and continuations and delays and it's just I don't know.
The
If we're
delays are
feeling
horrendous. I can't even believe that a
if we're
judge would allow this.
if we're feeling like this, imagine how the families must feel at night. Talk about broken.
Right.
It's
Right.
just, it's awful.
You're right, though, comparing it to being in neutral. That is the best example of that. They can't even start their grief. They can't start their life, their new life that they have to go through now without them. Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm sure that they're numb. You know, when I look at
Mhm.
them, that's what I think. I think that they are like all cried out, and not the tears still won't come, but I think it's like devastating to not believe in the system, that you think, that something horrible happened and they're going to make it right. And we're not even close. It's just,
Not
yeah,
even close. No
this one's the case
justice.
of the century. Yeah. This one's tough.
Yep. Um, so what I have here is Brian Kohberger's attorneys face deadline to submit alibis details for night of Idaho murders. And I'm just going to play this quick little video right here for you guys. And then I'm going to show y'all the legal requirements for an alibi. Well, as soon as this commercial's over again. 5, 4, 3, 2. Come on, come on.
Near $2 billion expansion plan is a step closer to the green light this morning.
Yeah, Anaheim
Wait
City
a minute.
Council
This
approved
is
a plan
not.
known as the Disneyland.
Hold on just a second. Something just happened.
I just think that, like, on the family page, Chrissy had gone and said, like, she needs a change. She's just stuck. She doesn't, she feels like, what do I do? And my suggestion was for her was to go on the backpacking trip that Kaylee had planned to do, and do it
Okay.
for her and do it
It's
for
deadline
Kaylee.
day.
Oops. Go ahead. I was just talking so you could do your thing.
I think that's a very good idea. And I think that completing things that maybe our children would have experienced would help us, would help them live through us. So I think that's a lovely idea. All right, I'm going to go to this. Sorry about
For
that.
Brian Kohberger's defense
Don't you
team.
start.
All right. The judge requesting Kohberger's lawyers provide additional details about the former PhD student's alibi the night 4 University of Idaho students were stabbed to death in an off-campus home. Over the summer, Kohberger's lawyers claimed in a court filing the suspected murderer was instead driving around alone, as he often did in the late evening and early morning hours when the murders were committed in November of 2022. They added he's not claiming to be at a specific location at a specific time, and said they had no specific witness to say precisely where he was at each moment. The judge earlier entered a not guilty plea on Kohberger's behalf.
Because Mr. Kohberger is standing silent, I'm going to enter not guilty pleas.
The lacking details and inability to corroborate Kohberger's whereabouts were criticized by Latah County's top prosecutor, Bill Thompson, who called the alibi vague. The judge agreeing.
So-called alibi, not really an alibi.
If Brian Kohberger does not present an alibi, the defense is going to have to rebut the information and the evidence that the state is putting forth. Because if he doesn't have an alibi, then he could potentially have been at the murder scene.
The parents of victim Kaylee Gonzalez telling ABC News in part that they are frustrated by the delays that are ongoing in this case, and they are awaiting the alibi information. Also today, they need to provide a witness list and any evidence they want to present at the change of venue hearing next month. That is something the Gonzalez family hopes is denied. And a reminder, no trial date has been set yet. Kana Whitworth, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Okay, and the reason I wanted to share that real quick is because there's a little bit of a problem with Brian Kohberger's alibi. Watch this. Do y'all know what the Idaho state law requires for an alibi? Let me explain to you what Idaho requires as an alibi. Okay. Idaho statutes. 19 519. Notice of defense of alibi. Section 1. At any time after arraignment before a magistrate upon a complaint and upon written demand of the prosecuting attorney, the defendant shall serve within 10 days or at such different time as the court may direct upon the prosecuting attorney a written notice of his intention to offer a defense of alibi. Such notice by the defendant shall state the specific place or places at which the defendant claims to have been at the time of the alleged offense and the names and addresses of the witnesses upon whom he intends to rely to establish an alibi. Section 2. Within 10 days after receipt of the defendant's notice of alibi, but in no event less than 10 days before trial, unless the court otherwise directs, the prosecuting attorney shall serve upon the defendant or his attorney a written notice stating the names and addresses of the witnesses upon whom the prosecution intends to rely to establish the defendant's presence at the scene of the alleged offense and any other witnesses to be relied on to rebut testimony of any of the defendant's alibi witnesses. And it goes into when they have to state that the witness is, a witness, and promptly notify both attorneys of the existence of the alibi and the identity of the alibi. But what this is saying is what an alibi requires in the state of Idaho: a specific place or a specific places at the time that the crime was committed. And there needs to be a witness, and it's not saying or, it's saying and the names and addresses of the witnesses upon who he intends to rely to establish such an alibi. Now, as we are all aware, traffic cameras can be witnesses. Video evidence can be a witness, or a person can be a witness, or what else can be a witness? What else can attend to where you were and speak on your behalf of where you were at a specific place at a specific time? A person or video footage. Would y'all agree to that?
Yes.
I agree.
Okay, so what exactly has Brian Kohberger presented as his alibi so far? Anybody?
Driving around late at
Yeah.
night.
And do you know what that does not include?
A witness.
Or a specific place.
Right. He didn't even say starting point, finishing point, middle point. Just driving around. It was a hobby of his.
Right. So I have this question. If Brian Kohberger is out driving around alone late at night in his car, as previously said by his defense team as his alibi, where's his witness and where's his specific time? Unless there is video proof of him being in a specific place at a specific time, other than 1122 Kings Road. I don't think there is an alibi. And I'm beginning to wonder, since the state has rejected, well, I was just driving around late at night, because as you can see here under Title 19 of Criminal Procedure, Chapter 5, 19-519, in order for him to establish an alibi, he has to have a specific place and a witness that he was during that time.
Okay, but even if you were driving around, right, you would still have some recollection of where you started, where you went, what you saw. It's late at night. It's a small town. Even going from, where he lived into Moscow. I mean, I feel like you'd have more specific information. at least some details. We have gotten none other than just driving around aimlessly.
Right.
My guess is no alibi. That's my guess. What is taking place today? That's my opinion.
Well, so far, what Ann Taylor has presented to the state as Brian Kohberger's alibi isn't sufficient for an alibi. So today was the deadline on that.
And why else would you delay it? I mean, why would you delay an alibi? Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. I think that makes you look guiltier and guiltier with each delay.
Well, why
I
would you
mean, you would
call
want to say
400
you would
people? Why would you
right.
call
You would want to
400
say where you
people in the
were.
county to do what's it called? A survey or a poll? Why would you call 400 people if you're the defense and explain to them basically the entire case, asking them questions to create a bias about the case if you weren't trying to set Brian Kohberger up for a reason for appeals later or to get your case moved out of Latah County for a change of venue? I mean,
Right. We know the games they play.
yeah,
Hey,
they're
I want
playing
to
some
say
serious games
hi
from
to
Taylor.
Funky Jasunky, Jason, whatever you are. Funky Jasunky has joined us. Hello. I know that's your buddy, Regina.
Oh, is he in here?
Yeah.
Hey, Jason. Funky Jasunky. I love it. I
I
love it.
love the
It's so
name.
good to see you. It's
Such
so
good
good to see
energy.
you.
Good energy.
Absolutely. You guys follow Crystal, What Is True, on Twitter at https://twitter.com/what is true 207. And
Thanks.
follow Kel. Follow Kel on Twitter at https://twitter.com/kelkills78.
Look at low 12's on it. Low 12.
Low 12 is a beast. I
She
love her.
is.
She is the beast of moderators. She's Spartan quality, you guys, when it comes to being a moderator, okay?
Her and Midwest, they
Elite
both,
Spartan.
yes, they cover each other no matter what. If we need something on there, they put it up. Good job, ladies.
They are
Absolutely.
amazing.
Oh, and Willot Harris, too, our male moderator. Of course, we can't forget him.
Yes, Walt Harris, and we appreciate him being here.
He should call in. Walt, you should call in.
Right.
Willot.
Come on, Willot. Call in.
It's Willat. I call him
Willot.
Willat. Yeah, Willat.
There's 5 different versions. I don't think he cares. You can call him
Male
whatever you want.
moderator. Male
Right.
moderator.
You know, I
That's
think an
all.
important thing to touch on with Kohberger is that change of venue hearing next month is May 14th. Just so we put that date out there. That
Oh,
is
yeah.
supposedly when that's going to take place.
And you know what? I hope Judge puts his foot down and says, Ann Taylor, you know what? I really hope he reprimands her. I really do. Over what her little poll did to the jury pool.
I feel like he's getting more frustrated now. I feel like he's been more than fair. And I feel like now he's getting to the point it's ridiculous. You know, like there's victims involved here. I mean, this case is not a joke, and they're making a circus out of it, you know.
And that's the other part that bothers me. Some people will say things that, they tear apart everything that comes out of their mouths. And it just, and the victim shaming and shit that goes on. I don't like that. I don't like
No.
that people are attacking these families, just for things that they're saying and discussing. I mean, they have the right to say whatever they want, really. It's how they feel.
Right. We
And
follow facts. We follow information. We don't follow rumors and speculation and
right,
conspiracies. We're looking for facts, receipts, things that we know to be true, without judging people. I mean, imagine if that was your child and the things that they've said about them. I mean, it's terrible.
right. Exactly. I mean, no one deserved what those 4 kids got. And they
Nobody
are
deserves
kids.
it.
They
Or
were
the two
kids.
survivors. They've done so much to them as well. Nobody wanted this to be their life. Nobody wanted this situation. It's a terrible event, and it needs to move forward. for all involved. It just does. This
Okay.
delay is ridiculous.
Funked Jasunky asked, was his car a newer model? Funked Jasunky, I have actually done the full specs based on his license plate and VIN number on his car. It was a 2015 Hyundai Elantra, and you would not believe what that car was equipped with. But let me just tell you, that car, and they actually dropped it during one of the hearings about the information on that car. They do have digital evidence from the car itself. You remember whenever they said that they didn't have any physical evidence in the car that led him to the crime? Well, that didn't mean they didn't have any evidence from that car linking him to the crime. And whenever Ann Taylor, during one of the most recent court hearings in the case, Ann Taylor spoke about the technology, the data forensics technology that they used on that car that is in the evidence that they have. So they did do a digital breakdown and recovery on the data of that car, and I think that is going to speak volumes. At this point, I'm thinking Ann Taylor is doing everything she can to ensure that Brian Kohberger gets an appeal, because I honestly think that the evidence is so overwhelming that he will be convicted. And I think the only assurance that she has to defend her client at this point is intentionally forcing an appeal later on grounds of insufficient representation.
Well, you know what, too, Regina? Willot Harris is asking about where we think that Brian parked the car. Was it, on King Road, Queen Road, Linda Lane? Like, where do we think that car was parked? I've heard a lot of different ideas. So what do you think?
I think he parked it right behind the house up on the hill between the two apartment sets. I think he parked, yeah, right there. I think there's an area right there past 1122 King Road where you can turn right and go up behind those apartments. I think he parked right there in that dark drive to the left of the house if you're facing the main entryway into the home.
Interesting. I'm not sure. I know he parked somewhere close. I just remember when they were doing all the tire impressions and all of the tech people were at the bottom of the hill. So I was curious to think, even if he didn't park there, that there were some kind of skid marks or some tire impressions left. But I do remember that. But yeah, it's a question that's asked a lot, so I figured I'd get your opinion.
5 terabytes of evidentiary data was sent to the defensive team. That is nothing to sneeze at. And I realized that some of that was repetitive and disorganized, but that tells me that there is a lot of digital and forensic evidence that we have no idea about yet. And I know that we're learning little bits and pieces as more hearings happen. But there's a lot. There is a lot going on with that case. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I just want it to be said, people think that he just dumped this on the defense attorneys and told them figure it out. It is a courtesy of another attorney to organize and label and do whatever. It is not required for him to do that. He had nobody organize it for the prosecution team. They had to figure it out, just like the defense team has to figure it out. So the idea that he just, again, she can't go through all this information. Well, that's what your legal researchers are for and your whole team. I mean, everybody's got to watch some videos. There's a lot of it. But I hate the idea that he just dumped it on them and they have to figure it. Well, he got it dumped on him too. So.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
Kohberger, we could go on forever. It's probably better we don't. God knows. Hopefully this just moves forward. That's my focus. Like, I only want to follow facts. I only want to follow hearings. We can speculate for hours and hours and hours. They just need to keep these things moving for the families, especially.
Absolutely. And with that said, you guys, we've got 2 more things that I would like to get to before we end the stream. So if it's okay, I'd like to go ahead and move on. If anyone wants to present some final thoughts, Sammy, Crystal, Kilkil, any final thoughts before we move on this?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
The only thing I would say is I'm interested to see what kind of evidence she has that supports the idea of the change of venue, which should have been presented today. So
You mean
I'm hoping that
besides?
we get that. I'm hoping we get that, soon. Find out
You
what,
mean you mean besides the poll that basically interfered with every literally.
We don't even want to go there. Like that's a lot. That we're going to be on here for 5 hours if we do that. Yeah. It's really sad in this day and age that attorneys will allow themselves to be insufficient in order to get to appellate court. And I'm not saying that's happening, but it's obvious at times that the case is overwhelming. It's overwhelming for everybody. I get it. But yeah, I think we just need to move forward. So hopefully we do.
Absolutely. And our final serious case of the night, you guys. This has been a long time coming, and I know there's relief for Dylan Round's family, but you guys, they finally found Dylan Rounds.
Yes, God bless him.
They have identified him, and he was missing for 2 years. They found his skeletal remains. The body was found on April the 9th, 2024 in a remote western Box Elder County area of Lucin County. On the evening of April the 10th, the Box Elder County Sheriff's Department confirmed that the remains found in Lucin, Utah belonged to Dylan Rounds. They found the body on April the 9th, confirmed it on April the 10th that it was him. In June 2022, Dylan's case was featured on Dateline's Missing in America series. Dateline spoke with his parents, Justin Rounds and Candace Cooley. They said that Dylan grew up in Idaho, but owned a farm in Lucin that he purchased with his grandfather in 2019. He spent most nights living in his camper on the farm. On Sunday, May 28, 2022, Dylan spoke with his grandmother on the phone from the farm. That was the last time, you guys, that his family ever heard from him. A few months later, now 61-year-old James Brenner, who was named a suspect in Dylan's disappearance, according to court documents. Brenner was squatting in a trailer a few miles away from Dylan's property. Candace Cooley, Dylan's mother, told NBC Dateline affiliates at the time Brenner lived on Dylan's property where he helped him bale hay. She noted that Brenner's presence never gave her any reason for alarm. But Brenner was a convicted felon. In June 2022, he was charged with 3 counts of felony use of a firearm by a restricted person after the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, along with the FBI, searched his trailer and discovered balls of ammunition, ignition caps, black powder, and speed loads. For those of you that don't know, that's all related to muzzle loader guns. Then in March 2023, Brenner was charged with criminal homicide, aggravated murder, and abuse or desecration of a human body in connection to Dylan's disappearance. In the probable cause statement during the search for Dylan, deputies found a pair of boots belonging to the suspect. One boot had a blood stain. Analysis of that blood stain DNA showed that it was from both Dylan and James Brenner. Dylan's phone records also showed movement from the day of his disappearance in the same area where Brenner was squatting. The investigation showed that Dylan's phone had last pinged in Lucin Pond, and a search of the pond led officials to his phone. When officials investigated Dylan's phone, they discovered a video on it that showed Brenner with blood stains on his arm and his shirt as he was cleaning the gun. Turns out that the shirt that Brenner was wearing in the video, DNA analysis on it proved that it was Dylan's blood. It was Dylan's DNA. Excuse me. None of the evidence found, however, led investigators to Dylan's body. And as we now know, that changed on April 9th, 2024. They were discovered, and on the 10th, they were identified. After the announcement, Dateline spoke to Dylan's mother, Candace Cooley. She said that Brenner led authorities. Oh, Brenner led authorities to her son's body as part of a plea agreement, you guys. He knew
Which
he
is
was
going to
going to.
be,
That's so sad.
it had to have been
Which
devastating for her, but
I
at the
would I
same
would
time,
I would guess that they got her opinion on that.
right.
You want answers, and I would imagine they just
That's
wanted to
what
find him.
here's she's I'm going to read her statements real quick. Despite the lingering pain of losing her son, Candace said she's grateful her family finally has some sort of resolution. Um, we were getting ready to plan searches for the summertime, she said. Now we don't have to do that. That is sad. Now, she said she'll focus on laying Dylan to rest, and finally she's getting to. Once the state lab releases him, they're gonna lay him to rest. He'll be released into the funeral home where we have handled everything already, Candace told Dateline. We can move forward from there. The Box Elder County Sheriff's Office stated that they are grateful to everyone who has assisted and supported the investigation and search efforts on this exceptionally challenging case. The Sheriff's Office did not release any additional information at this time. So, um, my my heart and my prayers go out to Dylan's family at this time. It's never easy losing a child. Um, yeah, it's just my thoughts and my prayers go out to you, but I'm grateful to God that you finally have some closure and you get to bring your son home. You get to bring your son home. As a parent, I can't imagine what it would be like having to bring my child home to bury him. But I know that there has to be some kind of closure and grace and the knowledge of knowing finally what happened to him beyond a shadow of a doubt. So my heart, my thoughts, and my prayers go out to you guys 100%. Um, and I'm so sorry for your loss. Did you guys
And
want to speak?
I know Paige, this case meant a lot to Paige, and she had said that, she was really glad for the mom that she could find this closure because the mom is like gone hard to make sure that this was happening and she never gave up. And I just feel so bad for the family. Again, it's just like, why? So senseless. So
Right,
senseless.
right, I agree. Big shout out to Paige. She followed this case from day one, knew every bit of information about it, and as sad as the ending is, I do think it gives you a little bit of peace to at least know. It's sad that you have to plea out with these monsters, but in order to get closure and be able to go forward with your life and lay him to rest, and you know, I can't imagine that his mom was ever able to sleep at night, not knowing where he was. So
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know how a parent, because, and that brings me back to Seth Rogers a little bit too, because I don't think that man is ever going to stop until Sebastian is brought home. And I think that it is his perseverance that is going to bring Sebastian home. And I give that man all my respect because he is doing exactly what I would do if my child went missing.
but when you take the positive spin on this, think about how much awareness there is now. You have social media, you have all these different resources available. It's actually a really good thing. I mean, kids went missing. We had a kid missing in a local town here, and she was 13 years old, never heard from again. And I still remember being younger thinking about it. Like, I can't imagine just somebody is there one day and then gone the next. So yeah, I think when you look at the positive of this, it's great that every bit of awareness helps. What we do
I
helps.
thank
What
God.
you do, Regina.
Yep.
Right.
I'm sorry, Sammy. What
Well,
did you say?
if we
No,
don't
no,
keep
I didn't
bringing,
mean to interrupt.
No, you're
if
fine.
we
I just
aren't,
missed it.
if
I
we
just say
aren't out, go ahead.
I
I'm
want to
sorry.
thank God that Sebastian has Seth. Thank God for that.
Yes, I agree.
And thank God that Dylan Rounds had his family that never gave up and pushed and pushed. And I think that Seth is going to be an asset to Sebastian that Dylan Rounds' family was to him. And I think eventually that is what is going to bring Sebastian home. Um, and Sebastian's story to still be told. Hey guys, we've been live now for almost 3 hours.
We're
I
hitting the 3 hour
actually,
mark.
yeah, time flies, doesn't it?
It does.
Like it really does.
We covered a
And
lot.
we did. We covered a lot, and we've gotten some much needed updates on some cases out that we've been following. There are so many more cases that we're going to be covering too. Um, Tomorrow, hopefully, we're going to have time to go live and do a live tomorrow. Um, it depends on whether or not I get done what I got to do today. You know, the rest of this afternoon that I get done before I go to bed. But before we go, everybody, I would just like to do a little bit of a palate cleansing. And it's this new fun thing we're starting to do, or we're going to try doing at the end of every serious live, something to make y'all laugh that still deals with true crime. And today we have a real whopper for you. We have a real good one. You guys, this about made me wee myself. Okay, it's so funny. It's called Stupid Criminal. Burglar breaks partner's head with a brick in Shanghai, China. Watch this, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself because I'm gonna be busted. I can't help but laugh every
Me
time.
too.
So I'm gonna mute myself and then I'm gonna play the video. So you guys, just for y'all's benefit, the funnier side of true crime. Here we go.
OMG.
Hold
That
up, we
gives
gotta play that again. Do you
That is
guys
so
see what
funny.
just happened?
It's so
Did you
funny.
guys do you guys see what just happened? Okay, watch again. These dudes are trying to break into a place. The first one throws a brick and starts to move. I think to go get another brick or something. Just as his partner in crime slams a brick in his head, trying to throw it into the place.
He knocked him straight out too. He was over it.
But he didn't leave him
Oh,
behind. He didn't leave him behind. It gives a whole
No,
new meaning
he
to
had to
thick as
drag him.
thieves.
He had to
Thick as
drag him out.
thieves.
that's why she gotta take. Okay, we're gonna watch it one more time. Okay, just watch. I can't help it. Okay. Instant karma.
I was gonna say good old karma.
He's like, oh my God.
Wake up, wake up.
This moment of videography
Come on, dude, we
brought
gotta
to you
run.
straight out of Shanghai, China.
Okay, look how he dropped too. He like flopped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knocked him
He
out.
knocked him out.
My God. Oh my Lord.
How is that for some instant true crime karma?
Wow,
I love it.
that was true crime interrupted. Because you knock your partner out, it's not good.
You
Right.
guys, if we had more criminals acting like these two people, we would have a lot less crime because they
Well,
would be dealing with it themselves.
I used to love that. I used to love that show, that America's Dumbest Criminals. Like you can't even believe how stupid people are. Like it just amazes me. But I used to love that. That kind of reminded me of that.
Thank you, Regina. I needed a good laugh.
Right, me too.
Me
That
too.
was
And
good.
every time I see, I don't know if
Yes.
y'all heard me. I tried muting myself, but every time I see it, it just tickles my funny bone down to the core. Like,
Literally, he like flopped like a fish. Like he was
no,
knocked out.
he just got,
Like he was done.
I mean,
Knockout.
stiff, and he just goes down like a board, too. Like he was
He did.
here. Oh my goodness. And
Oh
I'm
my
sorry if
goodness.
that is not some well-deserved karma. It's like he threw that brick, and not even 3 seconds afterward, his buddy throws the brick to try to bust the window too, and it just
Dude wasn't
lays
even
down
looking. Yeah.
haymaker
Come
style.
I
Haymaker
just,
style. I mean,
I gotta say, the music that accompanied that was so fitting.
It was.
Also,
on.
Perfect.
He moved right into the line of fire. Like it was,
Right.
yeah. It was
Friendly
good old
fire.
karma. Good old karma. That crime was not getting committed. Not that day.
Mm.
it gives a new
Oh,
meaning to thick as thieves.
Oh, Regina, I see Nana's dragonfly in here. She's joining us. That's your buddy too.
Hey, Nana, it's so good to see you, lovely. Oh, there she is. Yes, and sadly, we're actually just now wrapping up the end of the program, you guys, because I do have some stuff I got to get taken care of, regardless if I want to or not. And I don't want to, but I got to because it's, part of adulting. Um, I have to adult today, and it sucks. I don't want to, but
Well,
here we go.
you've been sick too, so I know how it is to catch up
I
after being sick.
I have been sick. And Nana, it is so good to see you, my lovely friend. Um, it's too bad you didn't get here earlier, and I'm sorry that you had to work, especially so late. I'm gonna drag Nana's dragonfly. I'm gonna have to kidnap her sometime and drag her up here on panel. And Nana's dragonfly is one of my good friends, and so is Jasunki, from Allegedly with Brittany, the Green Team fam. You guys, Brittany has been such a dear friend and helping support our channel and build it up, and I'm just so grateful for everything that she does. And she does a really good job covering cases too. I know that a lot of people out there, or there are people out there that would choose to give her flack and cause drama, but really, Brittany's heart is in the right place, and she cares about people and the cases that she covers. And I don't appreciate the flack that she gets. I think that she's too good of a person to deal with a lot of the drama that uh, or a lot of the bad stuff that gets said. And I'm not going to elaborate because Brittany's my friend, and I'm not going to talk bad about her. As a matter of fact, I'm going to
I
support
agree.
her. And if my mods would be so kind as to throw up Brittany's link in the chat, I would greatly appreciate it. And with that said, ladies, was there anything else y'all wanted to add before we give our final goodbyes for the night?
I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for being here and sharing this time with us.
Nana, I was just sick, and then the medicine that I took made me even worse off for my own good because I was allergic to it. So, um, the medication was like the antibiotics. Um, I was highly allergic to, and my whole face swelled up, and it was a very ugly thing. I would share pictures, but I don't want y'all to see me ugly like that. So,
You're
it's actually
fine.
really rough looking. I'm still recovering from it more so than the illness. I'm recovering from what the medicine did to me. So, um, Kill, Sammy, Crystal, anything else before we go?
I'll just reiterate what Sammy said. Thank you to everybody for sticking it out with us and covering everything. Regina, as always, much respect. We covered a lot. I think we hit the high points, and thank you for including me. I enjoyed myself. I think it was a great live.
I
I
would
would,
like Go ahead.
Oops. I was just going to
No,
say I would like to thank all of you too for being here. Kel, you did great. I loved having you up here. Sammy, same with you. Regina, we're all here because you're here, and I thank you for that. And for everyone in chat, anybody listening, remember, share a smile, save a life. It does make a difference.
Right. And for all the replay crew, we appreciate you too.
And you guys, this world is already a dark enough place without everybody spreading more hate and drama about other people. It takes so much energy to maintain hate, and it is so easy to let go and love. All you got to do is do it. And Crystal, would you please share my favorite phrase that you say? Share a
Share a smile, save a life.
There you go. There you have it. And with that, you guys, I think it's about time to call it wraps. I appreciate everyone being here, all of my moderators, Low 12, Midwest, of course, Kel, the lovely Paige, Miss Brazzy. Oh goodness, I hope I don't forget anyone.
We lot. We lot.
That, yes. Shout out to everyone who joined us. The Mind of Monsters, Journey to Justice,
Blondie.
Lena, Blondie, Jasunke, Funky Jasunke, Nana's Dragonfly. Yes, all of the wonderful people out here on YouTube that join into chats and actually do something to try and help and make a difference. We love you guys and we appreciate y'all. Thank you to my wonderful panel, Sammy, What is True, and Kel. And thank you all for having me and for joining me through this experience and trying to build something bigger and better than ourselves. I appreciate you all so much. So much. Without y'all, none of this would be possible. And I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. So,
good night.
We appreciate you too.
All right. Thank you. Good night, Kel. Good night, What is True. Good night, Sammy. I love you guys. Thank you for being here and joining me.
Good night, Regina. I love you. Sammy,
Good night.
Crystal.
Love you. All right, you guys, and it's getting to that time. I just would like to say to lock your doors and windows, um, and keep each other safe. Love one another. Be kind to one another. You never know whenever the simplest smile or the simplest act of kindness could actually change someone's entire outcome on life. It may even save their life. Be the difference that you want to see in the world, because really the difference starts with us. Do what you can to help others and do not add to the pain is the best and basic goal that I think all of us should try to achieve in life. Maybe Michelle said, well, we'll see you tonight on Brit's stream, Regina. Maybe it depends on if I get back from running my errands in time. A friend asked me for help and I have to go help that friend. But hopefully I get back in time. Hopefully I get back in time and I can join in. But with that said, you guys, I love y'all. Anything y'all can do to help another person or make the world a better place, be the shining light, be the difference, because it's all of us have that capability. And I thank you all for being here and for everything you do and being a part of this and keeping these cases alive, especially with children like Sebastian Rogers that are still missing. And I look forward to covering more cases with you guys in the future. And with that said, you guys, blessings and good night.